Chapter 33-25. I can't believe we met them again. A wisp of shock surfaced in the eyes of Mo Qingyun and the others when they saw Xiangfu's group approaching. They didn't think that the first people they would meet would be Xianfu and the others again. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. Similar to Mo Qingyun and the others, the faces of Xianfu and the others were filled with shock at this moment. Arriving in front of Xiangfu and the others, Mo Qingyun glanced at Jin Tongxing and said, "Princess Xiangfu, the people buried here are all ancestors of the imperial clan. If a royal spirit is condensed here, you won't think that it's the only imperial clan ancestor and try to steal it from us again, will you?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Xianfu was stunned. She didn't know how to answer. She didn't think that Mo Qingyun would be so direct and mention fighting for the royal spirit. Before Xianfu could speak, Jin Tongxing sneered and said, "Mr. Mo, if you know how to be rude, why are you so aggressive and trying to snatch the royal spirit of other people's ancestors? Even if you have a high status, you should be reasonable." After Jin Tongxing finished speaking, Xianfu smiled and said, "Mr. Mo, Jin Tongxing is right. You can't bully others just because you have a high status." Hearing Xianfu and Jin Tongxing's words, Mo Qingyun smiled and said, "Princess Xianfu, what you said is wrong. According to what you said, the examination of the Imperial Mausoleum this time only involved you and your brothers and sisters. Why would you need other people to help you? Besides, I entered the Imperial Mausoleum with Empress Xiang Lingyi's permission. Naturally, I didn't offend her." Without waiting for Xianfu to refute, Mo Qingyun turned to look at Jin Tongxing. His eyes turned cold and he said, "Who do you think you are? I am talking with Princess Xianfu. Who are you to interrupt? Also, so what if I'm aggressive? As for reason? That's a request from the weak to the strong, and the strong will only give orders to the weak. I'll give you 3 breaths of time to get out of my sight. Otherwise, don't blame me for not giving face to Princess Xianfu." After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he began to count down. His attitude was extremely domineering. Mo Qingyun's attitude caught Xianfu and the others off guard. For a moment, they didn't know what to do. 3, 2, 1. After counting down from 3, Mo Qingyun did not waste any more words. He directly waved his hand at Enchern and said, "Enchern, deal with him." Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's order, Enchen's figure flashed and attacked Jin Tongxing. Mo Qingyun, seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Xianfu's pretty face changed and her beautiful eyes were filled with anger. She did not expect Mo Qingyun to be so powerful that he did not fear her existence at all. Mo Qingyun did not care about Xianfu's anger at all. He turned his head with a cold gaze and said, "Prince Xianfu, I still stand by what I said before. As a guest of the Sky Fragrance dynasty, I do not wish to attack my masters. But if you don't know what's good for you, I won't consider myself a guest. When that time comes, I can't guarantee what I will do." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Xianfu was instantly furious. Her face turned green and white. She, Xianfu, had never been treated like this in the Sky Fragrance dynasty. All along, she had been suppressing others forcefully, even when facing Xiang Xiong and the others. Now, when facing Mo Qingyun, the situation was completely reversed. This situation was really difficult for her to accept. Sigh, Xianfu has met a ruthless person this time. Seeing this scene, Xiang Qingyi sighed and shook her head. She thought to herself, "Xianfu, Mr. Mo is an important guest of the dynasty. Do not be rude. Take your people and leave immediately." Xiang Qingyi did not want to pay attention to it, but after all, Xianfu was her royal sister. She could not bear to see Xianfu asking for trouble. However, Xiang Qingyi did not expect that it would have been better if she had not spoken. Her persuasion angered Xianfu instead. Hearing Xiang Qingyi's persuasion, Xianfu's eyes widened. She glared angrily at Xiang Qingyi and said, "Xiang Qingyi, Don't think that just because you have Emo Qingyun, you can order me around. Jin Tongxing came to help me collect the Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi. If he is bullied, how can I sit by and do nothing? If you want to fight, then do it. Seeing Xianfu's attitude, Xiang Qingyi sighed. She felt even more helpless. She knew that her good intentions had been treated as ill intent. Then, Xiang Qingyi did not say anything more. She did not want to care about Xianfu's matters anymore. She would do it for her own good. Princess Qingyi, go find the imperial spirit for me. I will take care of this myself. In order to not make things difficult for Xiang Qingyi, Emo Qingyun told her to leave first. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Xiang Qingyi did not say anything more. She nodded and left. Seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, Xianfu's beautiful face changed. Her eyes flashed with shock. Originally, she thought that if Emo Qingyun encountered them in the inner area, he would borrow Xiang Qingyi's power. But now, Emo Qingyun was telling Xiang Qingyi to leave. This was too arrogant and too stupid. Remember that they were in the inner area and could borrow the power of the Imperial Mausoleum. Emo Qingyun, you are too arrogant. In a moment, I will let you know the price of arrogance. Seeing Xiang Qingyi leave, Xianfu smiled coldly and said, Xiang Qingyi might not have told you that we are in the inner area of the Imperial Mausoleum. We can borrow the power of the Imperial Mausoleum. I hope that when you see it later, you will not be scared. As Xianfu spoke, she activated the power of her bloodline and formed a connection with the Imperial Mausoleum. Soon after, the aura emitted by Xianfu began to rapidly increase. She has surpassed the late Divine King stage. Sensing the change in Xianfu's aura, Emo Qingyun's expression changed slightly. Shock flashed through his eyes. He did not expect that with the support of the Imperial Mausoleum, Xianfu's strength would rise by a small level. At the same time, Emo Qingyun felt that the suppression he was under was even stronger. In a situation where Emo Qingyun did not resist, the aura he emitted almost fell out of the great god realm. He was not the only one. Anchun and Aolai were the same. Their auras fell by more than a small level. After borrowing the power of the Imperial Mausoleum, Xianfu smiled coldly and said, Emo Qingyun, do you still think that you have the ability to fight against us now? I will give you a chance. Give me the Imperial Fate and Draconic Qi you obtained before, and our conflict will be written off. Emo Qingyun smiled faintly when he heard Xianfu's words. He said, I have learned something from you. Turns out that being big-breasted and brainless is incomplete. Small breasts can be brainless too. Do you think that I would not consider this situation after coming to the inner area of the Imperial Mausoleum? Do you think that I would not know that you were relying on this? When Emo Qingyun said this, the smile on Xianfu's face immediately froze. Immediately afterwards, a great sense of unease rose up in her heart. Chapter 33-26. Anchun Aolai, there's no need to hold back anymore. XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_ XXX. Before Xianfu could calm down, Mo Qingyun instructed An Chun and Ao Lai to attack with all their might. Hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, An Chun and Ao Lai immediately responded and activated the Imperial Dragon Qi in their bodies. Immediately, An Chun and Ao Lai's bodies bloomed with dazzling golden light, noble and majestic. At the same time, An Chun and Ao Lai's aura began to rise rapidly. After a short while, An Chun and Ao Lai's auras were even stronger than their own cultivation bases. Seeing this, Xianfu and the others all widened their eyes in shock. They've merged with the Imperial Dragon Qi. How is this possible? Only members of the royal family can merge with the Imperial Dragon Qi. Are they all royalty of a certain clan? This person is a royalty of the Dark Heaven Holy Clan? With such a status, he actually recognizes Mo Qingyun as his master? That person is actually a royalty of the Dragon Clan. Is he also Mo Qingyun's servant? If that's the case, Mo Qingyun's identity is his. Seeing in Chun and Ao Lai's performance, Xianfu and the others were shocked and gasped. Immediately after, their gazes towards Mo Qingyun were filled with a strong sense of awe. The royalty of the Dark Heaven Holy Clan was equivalent to the Prince of the Profound Heaven Holy Clan. This was even higher than Xiang Lingyi's status. If such a person was Mo Qingyun's servant, it showed how terrifying Mo Qingyun's identity was. Is Mo Qingyun the descendant of the Supreme God? Thinking of Mo Qingyun's identity, Xianfu's face turned pale and the fear in her heart increased. While Xianfu was afraid, Mo Qingyun summoned a few specters and asked them to help in Chun and Ao Lai. When the specter gods were summoned, the auras they emitted were strongly suppressed. Their battle prowess had been weakened by a minor realm. Regarding this, Mo Qingyun was somewhat helpless, but there was nothing he could do. Aside from the fact that the specters had no consciousness, they did not have the royal bloodline and could not fuse with the Imperial Dragon Chi. Fortunately, Spectre's cultivation base has improved. Otherwise, he wouldn't be of any help if his cultivation base fell below the God King realm. Mo Qingyun rejoiced when he sensed that the demon deity's cultivation had dropped. He looked at Xiangfu and asked, "Why aren't you talking? Aren't you surprised? If you're surprised, give me all the Emperor Fortune and Dragon Chi you've acquired." When Mo Qingyun said this, Xianfu was speechless. She didn't know what to say. Was she surprised? Speaking of which, it was more frightening. Even if she racked her brains, she would never have thought that Mo Qingyun and the other two would be able to fuse with the Imperial Dragon Chi. However, even so, it was impossible for her to hand over the Imperial Dragon Chi. Xianfu took a deep breath and calmed herself down. She said, "Although you fused with the Imperial Dragon Chi and are not suppressed by the Imperial Mausoleum, I'm very surprised. However, the strength of those specters is still suppressed. Therefore, all in all, the combat strength of your side is still suppressed by the Imperial Mausoleum. Furthermore, with my current strength, if I want to attack, no one here can stop me. As long as I capture you, all the problems will be solved." As soon as Xiangfu finished speaking, her figure flashed and she once again took an interest in Mo Qingyun. Seeing Xianfu attack him, Mo Qingyun shook his head and said, "It seems like you won't give up until you see the coffin. Wasn't the lesson from before enough?" As Mo Qingyun spoke, his figure flashed and dodged Xianfu's attack. As Mo Qingyun retreated and dodged, the aura he exuded became stronger and stronger. Sensing the change in Mo Qingyun's aura, Xianfu's face trembled and shock appeared in her eyes again. She said, How did your cultivation increase? Did you hide your cultivation?" "No. You fused with the Imperial Dragon Chi?" This discovery completely stunned Xianfu. She did not recover for a long time. It had to be said that this situation was beyond her understanding, and she was worried. Mo Qingyun did not care about Xianfu's shock. He smiled faintly and said, "I expected to meet you guys in the inner area of the Imperial Mausoleum. How could I not be prepared?" As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he did not waste any more words with Xianfu and attacked her. Divine Thunder Dragon Wave. Mo Qingyun's hands moved quickly and condensed a surge of divine thunder power in the air. He attacked Xianfu. The divine thunder power blasted out from Mo Qingyun's palm and turned into a giant thunder dragon that pounced on Xianfu. Facing the thunder dragon's attack, Xianfu did not dare to be careless. She raised her jade pendant and immediately counterattacked. Flying Flower Divine Eagle Palm. A surge of divine power erupted and turned into petals that condensed into a giant seven-colored eagle. Following that, the seven-colored petal eagle and the thunder dragon clashed. Boom, boom, boom. As the giant eagle and the divine dragon fought, a series of loud explosions erupted and the sky changed color. Xianfu frowned as she watched the situation unfold. She spoke coldly, Sir Mo, your talent and potential are indeed very strong. Your powers are beyond imagination. However, your cultivation level is still too low. You are no match for me. I don't believe that a person with great celestial cultivation can compare to me in terms of nomological thread. Xianfu raised her jade pendant lightly. Nomological threads condensed around her and turned into a sea of nomological threads. At a glance, the number of nomological threads that Xianfu urged actually reached several tens of thousands. Urging the nomological threads, Xianfu controlled them and integrated them into the seven-colored petal eagle's body. Seeing Xianfu urge the nomological threads, Mo Qingyun did not dare to hold back and immediately urged the nomological threads too. Immediately, one giant nomological thread after another condensed around Mo Qingyun. Before long, the number of nomological threads that condensed around Mo Qingyun reached close to 10,000. Close to 10,000 nomological threads. Sensing the number of nomological threads that Mo Qingyun had, Xianfu's pretty face trembled. Her beautiful eyes were filled with shock. Under normal circumstances, only people with quasi-celestial god cultivation could have nomological threads reach this level. More importantly, the size of the nomological threads that Mo Qingyun condensed was several times larger than the average person's. In other words, although the number of nomological threads that Mo Qingyun had was only close to 10,000, the quality was comparable to several tens of thousands of nomological threads. When both sides' nomological threads merged, the auras of the Thunder Dragon and the seven-colored petal eagle immediately soared. The battle also became more intense. As Mo Qingyun and Xianfu's battle became louder and louder, it attracted the attention of Enchun and the rest, especially Jin Tongxing and the rest. When they saw the combat strength that Mo Qingyun displayed, they were even more shocked to the extreme. A person with great celestial cultivation had combat strength comparable to a late-stage godly king? This was too terrifying. Chapter 33:27. How is this possible? How can his battle prowess be so strong? Is this guy's cultivation really only at the mid-stage of the great god stage? Although he can stand up to Princess Xianfu, he definitely won't be able to last long with his cultivation. Let's keep these two and the specter busy. Don't let them disturb Princess Xianfu. Princess Xianfu will definitely defeat him. After a brief moment of shock, Jin Tongxing and the others revealed determined expressions and fought with Enchun and the specter. At this moment, Xianfu had already calmed down from her shock. She looked coldly at Mo Qingyun and said, "Although your methods have shocked me, in the face of an absolute difference in cultivation level, you're merely struggling on your deathbed." Hearing Xianfu's words, Mo Qingyun shook his head with a faint smile. "That's just what you think. What I think is that you don't have any other trump cards. Our battle should end." Mo Qingyun's words shocked Xianfu once again. She frowned slightly. She was very confused. What other trump cards could Mo Qingyun still have at this stage? At the same time, she was also very curious about what Mo Qingyun was relying on to say this. Just as Xianfu was puzzled, a shining door of light appeared in front of Mo Qingyun. Following this, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and entered the door of light. Immediately after, Mo Qingyun's figure and aura disappeared from Xianfu's perception. Seeing this scene, Xianfu's expression was shocked. She then revealed a disdainful smile and said, "I thought you had some tricks up your sleeve. So you're just using your trump card to escape." At this moment, before Xianfu could finish speaking, she saw a figure flash in front of her. It was Mo Qingyun, who had just disappeared. Seeing Mo Qingyun appear again, Xianfu was shocked and her eyes widened. Mo Qingyun wasn't running for his life. Instead, he used some kind of ability and teleported to her. Seeing the panic on Xianfu's face, Mo Qingyun revealed a faint smile. "I've already said that your thoughts don't represent my thoughts. I don't plan on escaping, and you don't have the ability to make me do so. Seeing this unforeseen event, Xianfu's expression tensed. She immediately slapped at Emo Qingyun and said angrily, "Humph! If you hid far away, I might not be able to do anything to you. Now you've taken the initiative to come to my side. With the difference in our cultivation levels, you're just looking for trouble if you fight me in close combat." Facing Xianfu's attack, Emo Qingyun was not afraid at all. He still had a calm smile on his face. "Xianfu." Emo Qingyun shook his head and sighed. "How many times have I told you? This is just your opinion. It doesn't represent my opinion. The Genesis Darkness Fortune bloodline." As Emo Qingyun spoke, he activated the two bloodlines and body constitutions to suppress Xianfu. Instantly, three powerful and domineering forces exploded from Emo Qingyun's body. Under the suppression of the three forces, Xianfu's eyes widened and she felt a strong sense of fear. At the same time, the blood in her body began to boil. Puff! The boiling blood in her body caused Xianfu's blood to flow in the opposite direction. She couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Before Xianfu could calm her blood, Emo Qingyun's palm approached and attacked her shoulder. As for the palm she threw at Emo Qingyun didn't dodge at all. He looked like he was going to take it head-on. Bang bang! Two loud noises were heard. Then, Emo Qingyun and Xianfu were sent flying. They retreated several thousand meters before coming to a stop. Emo Qingyun steadied himself. He took a deep breath and said, as expected of a divine king expert, "Even with my current body constitution, I'm still quite injured from taking her palm. However, although I'm slightly injured, you seem to be more heavily injured." As Emo Qingyun spoke, Xianfu steadied herself. Puff! As soon as Xianfu steadied herself, she spat out a mouthful of blood. Her face was as pale as paper. Then, she looked at Emo Qingyun with great shock and fear. In a direct clash with Emo Qingyun, she actually suffered a great loss. This result frightened her. When she fought with Emo Qingyun just now, Emo Qingyun didn't play any tricks at all. He fought her head-on. How is this possible? Xianfu was unable to return to her senses as she stared at Emo Qingyun nearby. She was unable to accept this result. However, before Xianfu could recover from her shock, Emo Qingyun launched another attack. Xianfu's eyelids immediately twitched when she saw Emo Qingyun launch another attack. She dodged backwards instinctively. Emo Qingyun stopped when he saw Xianfu's actions. He did not pursue her anymore. Afterwards, Emo Qingyun turned around and launched an attack towards Jin Tongxing and the others. Jin Tongxing and the others were already at a disadvantage against Enchun and the others. If Emo Qingyun joined the battle as well, they would be in an even worse situation. Upon seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, Xianfu, who had been preparing to flee, stopped in her tracks unwillingly and shouted, "Stop!" When Emo Qingyun heard Xiangfu's reprimand, he turned his head to look at her and said, "If you want me to stop, I can. However, you will have to pay a price." "What price?" Xianfu was cautious. She was afraid that Emo Qingyun would make an excessive request. Emo Qingyun smiled and said, "My request is very simple. Just give me all the dragon chi you've obtained." Xianfu seemed troubled when she heard Emo Qingyun's request. She seemed to be struggling. If she handed over the dragon chi now, all her previous efforts would be wasted. Not only that, but judging from the current situation, she would lose the right to compete for the dragon chi if she handed it over. "Looks like you're not willing to cooperate." Emo Qingyun did not waste his breath on Xianfu when he saw her reaction. He directly waved his hand at Enchun and the others and said, "No need to hold back. Cripple them." Enchun and Enchun's attacks immediately became much fiercer when they heard Emo Qingyun's words. Afterwards, Jin Tongxing and the others were injured one after another. They were in a perilous situation. Xianfu clenched her teeth in anger when she saw this. She said, "Stop. I'll give you the dragon chi. Let them go immediately. Xianfu knew very well that if Jin Tongxing and the others were crippled, she would lose the right to compete. Therefore, she might as well hand over the Dragon Qi and protect Jin Tongxing and the others. Otherwise, Jin Tongxing and the others would hold a grudge. Then, Xianfu took out a golden seal and tossed it at Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun raised his hand and caught the golden seal when he saw Xianfu toss it over. Emo Qingyun released his consciousness when the golden seal was in his hand and sensed it. He saw that the strands of Dragon Qi were suppressed by the golden seal. They stayed quietly inside the golden seal. Chapter 33-28. Mobile Sync Reading. Let's go. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Emo Qingyun did not want to talk to Xianfu anymore after getting the Imperial Dragon Qi from her. He went to meet up with Xiang Qingyi. Not long ago, he received a message from Xiang Qingyi. She had found an imperial spirit. Moreover, it was a late Divine King Realm imperial spirit formed by 600 to 700 strands of imperial dragon qi. Soon, Emo Qingyun and the others disappeared from Xianfu and the others' sight. Looking at Emo Qingyun's back, Xianfu could not help but be dazed. She muttered to herself, "Did I really do something wrong? Is the gap between him and me really that big?" Losing to Emo Qingyun twice in a row was a huge blow to Xianfu. She could not help but doubt herself. Hearing Xianfu's words, Jin Tongxing walked up and said, "Princess Xianfu, this Emo Qingyun might be the descendant of the Supreme God. He has all kinds of skills from the Supreme God. It's not fair for you to fight with him. You don't have to care too much about this kind of result." Hearing Jin Tongxing's words, the people behind nodded and began to persuade Xianfu. With everyone's words, Xianfu's mood improved. She said, "Everyone, after several battles you are all injured. Let's all leave the imperial tomb." Hearing Xianfu's words, everyone's expression changed. They were all shocked. They did not expect Xianfu to want to leave the imperial tomb. It was as if she was going to fight for the throne. It seemed that the battles with Emo Qingyun had indeed been a huge blow to her. "Princess Xianfu, there are still more than 10 days left. We may still have a chance to catch up." "That's right. No matter how much Imperial Dragon Qi Emo Qingyun has, he can't participate in the battle for the throne." "That's right. Xiang Yan and Xiang Yun may encounter him. If they are also robbed, we will have hope." Jin Tongxing and the others tried to persuade her. In response to Jin Tongxing and the others' persuasion, Xianfu showed a grateful expression and said, "Everyone, I appreciate your kindness. But I'm really not interested in continuing to fight for the throne. Let's go." After Xianfu finished speaking, she left the imperial tomb without waiting for Jin Tongxing and the others to reply. Seeing Xianfu's actions, Jin Tongxing and the others could only shake their heads. Not long after, Xianfu and the others left the imperial mausoleum and saw some ministers waiting outside. Princess Xianfu, why did you come out?" Seeing Xiangfu come out of the imperial mausoleum, these ministers were all shocked and their eyes widened. Xianfu's sudden appearance. From their point of view, the test had just begun, so there shouldn't be anyone quitting. Even Xiang Xiong was. Xiangfu didn't answer the minister's question. Instead, she looked around and said, "Grand Tutor Yang, where did Mother Empress go? Why don't I see her?" Hearing Xiangfu's reply, Grand Tutor Yang said, "Princess Fu, a prince has come to the royal bloodline Holy Land. The Empress went to receive him." Xianfu frowned. She thought for a while and said, "I have to go back. Farewell." Xianfu said her goodbyes, and with a flash, she rushed back to the imperial capital. Seeing Xianfu leave, the ministers pulled Jin Tongxing and the others and asked, "Why did Princess Xianfu give up the throne? What happened in there?" Upon hearing the questions of the ministers, Jin Tongxing and the others briefly explained the situation to everyone. A short while later, when Jin Tongxing and the others finished speaking, the ministers were stunned. What? He merged with the Imperial Dragon Chi and formed the Imperial Dragon Fetus? He fought a late-stage immortal king as an immortal and suppressed Princess Xianfu? Mr. Mo's background is probably not as simple as being a descendant of the Supreme God. His background is too terrifying. Princess Xianfu was too impulsive. It'll be troublesome if Mr. Mo holds a grudge. The ministers were shocked and worried. After explaining the situation to everyone, Jin Tongxing and the others did not hesitate and immediately chased after Xianfu. A few hours later, Xianfu returned to the imperial capital and went to the conference hall. As soon as Xianfu entered the conference hall, she saw Xiang Lingyi talking to a young man and a few old men respectfully. The young man was quite handsome. He had bright eyes and sharp eyebrows. His face was as clear as jade. He was a handsome young master. The young man's cultivation was not weak either. He was a late-stage immortal king. As for the few old men behind him, they were all quasi-god emperors. Fu why are you back? Seeing Xianfu enter the conference hall, Xiang Lingyi was shocked. She was surprised. After a short moment of surprise, Xiang Lingyi did not ask much. She immediately pointed at the young man and the others and said, Fu let me introduce you to these people. This is Prince Kong Bing. These are Deacon Lu Yu, Deacon Fantai, and Deacon Zhiying. Xianfu greets the prince and the deacons. After learning of their identities, Xiangfu revealed a respectful expression and hurriedly bowed to them. Seeing Xianfu's actions and her good looks, Kong Bing's eyes lit up. He said hurriedly, Princess Xianfu, there's no need to be so courteous. Please take a seat. As Kong Bing spoke, he hurriedly stood up and grabbed Xianfu's arm to help her up. Seeing Kong Bing's actions, Xiang Lingyi's eyes lit up. She seemed to have seen something. When Xianfu saw Kong Bing's actions, her heart could not help but tremble. A blush appeared on her pretty face. Yes. With Kong Bing's help, Xianfu nodded shyly and sat down beside Kong Bing. Seeing Xianfu sit down, Xiang Lingyi was curious. She looked at Xianfu and said, Fu you came back so quickly. Did you know that the prince was coming and specially came to welcome him? Hearing Xiang Lingyi's question, Xianfu looked at Kong Bing and said with an aggrieved expression, Mother, I came back so quickly because I knew that the prince was coming. Also, I was wronged in the imperial tomb. As soon as Xianfu said this, Kong Bing's face trembled. He shouted, Who is so bold to bully Princess Xianfu? Seeing Kong Bing's attitude, Xianfu was delighted. A smug sneer flashed across her lips. Subsequently, Xianfu slowly recounted the events of the imperial mausoleum to Kong Shi and the others. Inside the imperial tomb, it did not take long for Mo Qingyun to find Xiang Qingyi. He saw that she was fighting with an emperor spirit. This emperor spirit was very strong. Even with Xiang Qingyi's strength, she was still suppressed by it. If Mo Qingyun had not come, Xiang Qingyi would not have been able to hold on. Do it! Seeing Xiang Qingyi's situation, Mo Qingyun did not dare to delay. He immediately ordered Chun and Kong Bing. At this time, just as Chun and Kong Bing were about to intervene, a cold and evil voice said, Sister, it's too hard for you to deal with an emperor's spirit alone. Leave it to me. Mo Qingyun saw several figures drifting towards Xiang Qingyi's side as soon as this voice was heard. Chapter 33-29 Empty Fragrance Dynasty, Imperial Capital, Conference Hall. Mo Qingyun is really arrogant. As a guest, he actually attacked the host. Unforgivable. After hearing Xianfu's explanation, Kong Ling was furious. He said indignantly, If that's the case, we'll take him to the royal sacred ground as a guest. If we don't do as he wishes, won't he attack us too? The deacons behind Kong Ling nodded in agreement. Although Kong Ling was a little impatient, it was undeniable that his words made sense. Seeing Kong Ling's angry expression, Xianfu was delighted. She thought to herself, Mo Qingyun, now that the imperial prince of the royal sacred ground is unhappy with you, you'll be taught a lesson. Although Kong Babe's dissatisfaction with Mo Qingyun made Xiangfu secretly happy, Xiangfu was still a little afraid. If Mo Qingyun and Kong Ling fought because of her, she wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. With this thought in mind, Xianfu advised Kongbing, Prince Kongbing, Mo Qingyun's back is terrifying. He has many tricks up his sleeve and is very strong. It's best if you don't provoke him. If my words cause a conflict between you and him and cause you to suffer any harm, I will feel guilty for the rest of my life. It would have been better if Xianfu hadn't said that. Hearing her words, Kong Shi exploded with anger. Was Xianfu looking down on him? In Xianfu's eyes, he couldn't even compare to a great celestial? Kong Ling couldn't bear it anymore. He was even more dissatisfied with Mo Qingyun. Kong Ling didn't want to waste any more time. He immediately said to Deacon Fantai, Deacon Fantai, make a trip to the Imperial Mausoleum immediately. Tell Mo Qingyun to leave the Imperial Mausoleum and come to the Imperial capital to see this prince. After instructing Deacon Pantai, Kong Ling looked at Xiang Lingyi and said, Empress Xiang Lingyi, please send some people to the monarch tomb with Deacon Pantai and help him summon Mo Qingyun. Hearing Kong Shi's request, Xiang Lingyi hesitated, and a hesitant expression appeared on her face. This was truly a battle between immortals, and mortals were the ones who suffered. She really didn't want to get involved in the argument between Mo Qingyun and Kong Ling. He couldn't afford to provoke Kong Shi, and neither could he afford to provoke Mo Qingyun. He might be even more dangerous than Kong Shi. Although she was unwilling, Xiang Lingyi did not dare to refuse. She had no choice but to nod and say, Yes, I will send someone to go with you. Very soon, Xiang Lingyi sent a few people and left with Pang Tai. After Beng Tai and the others left, Xiang Lingyi looked at Kong Ling and then at Xiang Fu and said, Fu when did Imperial Prince Kong Ling come out? Follow him around. Yes, Queen Mother. Hearing Xiang Lingyi's instructions, Xianfu nodded obediently. After instructing Xiang Fu, Xiang Lingyi looked at Kong Ling and said, Imperial Prince Kong Ling, I still have matters to attend to, so I can't bring you around. I can only let Fu take my place. I hope you don't take it to heart. Kong Ling didn't care about Xiang Lingyi's apology at all. He smiled faintly and said, Empress Xiang Lingyi, you're being too serious. I'm more than happy to have Princess Xiang Fu accompany me. How could I blame you? Since you have matters to attend to, I won't disturb you any further. Princess Xiang Fu, please lead the way. Kong Ling didn't wait for Xiang Lingyi's reply. He got up and walked out of the palace. Hearing Hollowbrook's words, Xianfu didn't dare delay and immediately left with Hollowbrook. Sigh. Seeing Kong Ling and the others leave, Xiang Lingyi took a deep breath and furrowed her brows. Kong Ling was unhappy with Mo Qingyun. This was troublesome and not easy to deal with. Inside the monarch tomb, Mo Qingyun knew nothing about what happened in the palace. He would never have thought that the person who passed the message to him wasn't Kong Xianin and the others. Of course, even if Mo Qingyun knew, he probably wouldn't take it to heart. Let's go. Seeing a group of people appear in front of him, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and flew toward Xiang Qingyi. Mo Qingyun quickly arrived at Xiang Qingyi's side. He ordered Enchern, go, help Princess Qingyi kill this king's spirit. Yes. Hearing Mo Qingyun's order, Enchern didn't hesitate and immediately joined the battle. Seeing Enchern take action first, Xiang Yan's expression turned cold. Her eyes flashed with a cold light. She said, Mr. Mo, you're wrong. Even if you have tender feelings for the fairer sex, you can't do this. Seeing that Xiang Yan had misunderstood, Xiang Qingyi explained, Sister Xiang Yan, I entered the monarch tomb this time to help Mr. Mo find the Emperor's spirit. Now that he's here, I naturally have to capture and kill the Emperor's spirit. Xiang Yan's frown deepened after hearing Xiang Qingyi's explanation. She looked over suspiciously. Sweeping her gaze over Emo Qingyun and Emo Qingyun, Xiang Yan chuckled and said, "If that's the case, then I was overthinking things. I thought that royal sister was in danger and wanted to help." "Thank you for your kindness, sister." Xiang Qingyi cupped her hands politely, expressing her gratitude to Xiang Yan. In response to Xiang Qingyi's gratitude, Xiang Yan waved her hand carelessly and said, "Sister, there's no need to be so polite. Since it's a misunderstanding, I won't disturb you." However, the Emperor's spirit in the inner area of the monarch tomb is very powerful. Sister, you should act according to your strength. If you encounter any danger and hurt yourself, that wouldn't be too good. Thank you for your kindness, sister. Xiang Qingyi cupped her hands again and thanked her. Seeing Xiang Qingyi's performance, Xiang Yan didn't say anything else and left with her people. It wasn't long before Xiang Yan and the others left, leaving behind Emo Qingyun's group of 4. This Princess Xiang Yan is much more tactful than Xianfu. Thinking back to Xiang Yan's actions, Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and compared her to Xianfu. Hearing Emo Qingyun's thoughts, Xiang Qingyi immediately shook her head and said, "Emo Qingyun, Xiang Yan is much harder to deal with than Xianfu. She's very petty and can't take any losses. Although she's left now, she won't give up just like that. You have to be more careful and guard against her." Xiang Qingyi's reminder caused Emo Qingyun's expression to change. A trace of surprise appeared on his face. He never would have thought that Xiang Qingyi would evaluate Xiang Yan in such a way. However, although Emo Qingyun was surprised, he still listened to Xiang Qingyi. A dog that bites doesn't bark. This Xiang Yan seemed easy to talk to, but she was actually even more dangerous. It was fine if she didn't make a move, but if she did, she could kill you on the spot. Emo Qingyun no longer watched from the sidelines as he became more cautious of Fragrant Nightmare. He immediately joined the battle. Chapter 33:30. When Emo Qingyun and the others joined the battle, the pressure on Xiang Qingyi was greatly reduced. She began to counterattack the Emperor's spirit. Under the joint efforts of Emo Qingyun and the others, the Emperor's spirit was quickly suppressed and heavily injured. As the Emperor's spirit was heavily injured, its strength began to weaken bit by bit. Roar! Seeing that it was no match for Emo Qingyun and the others, the Emperor's spirit roared angrily and made a final struggle. Following that, the Emperor's spirit's strength suddenly skyrocketed. Seeing the Emperor's spirit's behavior, Xiang Qingyi's pretty face tensed up. She hurriedly said, "Everyone be careful. It's preparing to escape." As soon as Xiang Qingyi finished speaking, the Emperor's spirit suddenly exploded and turned into streaks of Imperial Dragon Qi. The Emperor's spirit's behavior stunned Emo Qingyun and the others. They didn't expect this. After a brief moment of shock, Emo Qingyun didn't hesitate at all. He immediately started to collect the Imperial Dragon Qi. Right at this moment, Xiang Yan and the others who had left earlier returned. When Xiang Yan and the others returned, they began to snatch the Imperial Dragon Qi. She said, "Mr. Emo, thank you." Seeing Xiang Yan's actions, Emo Qingyun frowned slightly. He understood what Xiang Qingyi meant. If he wasn't wrong, the departure of Xiang Yan and the others was just a pretense. They must have thought it through. They would snatch it at the last moment, like the mantis stalking the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Understanding Xiang Yan's thoughts, Emo Qingyun snorted and said, "Princess Xiang Yan, my things aren't so easy to snatch. I hope you've thought it through." In response to Emo Qingyun's warning, Xiang Yan pretended to be afraid. She said, "Mr. Emo, you're a god's favored one. How can you be so calculative with a little girl like me?" Incense Nightmare pinned a label on Emo Qingyun, but Emo Qingyun did not fall for it in the slightest. He sneered and said, "Even if I'm a proud son of heaven, didn't I still suffer in your hands now, accidentally falling into your scheme?" If that's the case, then an ordinary little girl like you is extremely dangerous. I have to be on my guard. For me, rather than guarding against thieves for 1,000 days, it's better to kill the thief myself, so that I don't have to live in fear all the time." After Emo Chingyun said this, he no longer held back and directly attacked Fragrant Nightmare and the others. Seeing Emo Chingyun's domineering actions, Xiang Yan's beautiful eyes trembled slightly as a trace of shock flashed through her eyes. She could tell that Emo Chingyun was not joking with her. He really wanted to make a move on her. Even if Emo Chingyun wouldn't kill her, it was still possible for him to severely injure them. If that was the case, she would most likely lose the right to compete for the throne. You win. When she thought about the fight for the right of succession to the throne, Xiang Ti showed an unwilling expression and left after saying a few words. Before long, Xiang Yan and the others fled without a trace, vanishing from Emo Chingyun's line of sight. Seeing Xiang Yan and the others leave, Emo Chingyun did not chase after them. Instead, he continued to collect the escaping Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi. However, because of Xiang Yan's actions, much of the Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi that had been split from the Imperial Spirit had escaped. "Master, why did you let her leave after causing so much trouble?" Anchern stood beside Emo Chingyun in confusion. He did not understand why Emo Chingyun had given up on chasing after them. This was the complete opposite of how he had treated Xiang Fu and the others before. When he heard Anchen's question, Emo Chingyun smiled faintly and said, "Of course I won't let her off easily. However, it's not the time yet. Since she likes to snatch the Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi, then let her snatch it first. We'll snatch her Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi a few days before the end of the test. At that time, she should have a lot of Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi in her hands." When they heard Emo Chingyun's words, Anchern and Ao Lai's eyes lit up. They felt that this was a good idea. "Master, you're so thoughtful. Xiang Yan has worked so hard to gather the Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi, but our benefactor has escaped. I'm sure she'll be very angry. When the time comes, her expression will be very interesting." Anchern and Ao Lai chatted happily. When she heard Emo Chingyun and the others' conversation, Xiang Qingyi frowned and could not help but shake her head. She said, "I was worried about him. Looks like I worried too much." On the other hand, Xiang Yan's actions are more like playing with fire. She's provoked a powerful enemy. As he chatted with Anchern and Ao Lai, Emo Chingyun did a simple calculation of the Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi he had collected. "I only collected a little over 100. What a pity." Seeing that the Imperial Spirit had exploded into 700 or 800 strands of Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi, Emo Chingyun was somewhat dissatisfied. Emo Chingyun murmured to himself. He gathered all the Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi together. "Including the Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi I took from Xiang Fu, I only have around 5,000 strands." After calculating the total amount of Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi, Emo Chingyun furrowed his brows tightly. He looked towards the inner circle of the Imperial Spirit and said, "There are less than 100 tombs that haven't been explored yet. Not every tomb has an Imperial Spirit, so it won't be easy to collect over 4,000 strands of Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi. Moreover, Xiang Yan and Xiang Yun's people are fighting over it. It looks like I have to take it from them if I want to collect 10,000 strands of Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi. I wonder if I can collect 10,000 strands of Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi if I take Xiang Yan's Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi." At that moment, Emo Chingyun became even more determined to take Xiang Yan's Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi. If he didn't steal her Imperial Fate Dragon Qi, he wouldn't be able to form the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit if he couldn't gather 10,000 strands of Imperial Fate Dragon Qi. Let's not waste any more time. Let's continue. Emo Chingyun thought for a moment and decided what to do next. He continued flying towards the inner circle of the tomb. Hearing Emo Chingyun's orders, Anchern and the others hurriedly followed. In the following time, Emo Qingyun and the others seized every second to kill one imperial spirit after another. A few days passed quickly while Emo Qingyun was killing imperial spirit. For some reason, Emo Qingyun didn't encounter any more incense nightmares in the past few days. As for Xiang Yun's group, they did not appear at all. It was as if they had never come. After exploring this tomb, all that's left is the primogenitor's tomb. Standing in front of a huge tomb, Xiang Qingyi explained the situation to Emo Qingyun. While Xiang Qingyi was speaking, a huge golden figure floated out of the tomb. As soon as the golden figure appeared, it exploded with a shocking qi. It made people's hearts tremble. What a powerful qi! Is this the imperial spirit? Feeling the golden figure's qi, Emo Qingyun's expression froze. His eyes flashed with joy. The qi of this imperial spirit was clearly different from that of an ordinary imperial spirit. To him, being able to directly kill a dragon fate emperor spirit was the best option. Immediately, Emo Qingyun released his consciousness to sense the imperial spirit. Chapter 33-31. It was still a bit away from becoming a dragon fate emperor spirit. What a pity! XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_XXX_ XXX_XXX. Sensing the Emperor Spirit's condition, Mo Qingyun was disappointed. He shook his head and sighed. If he could kill the Imperial Dragon Fate Emperor Spirits, he wouldn't have to collect the Imperial Dragon Fate. After sighing slightly, Mo Qingyun's mood returned to normal. Although it's not a Draconic Fate Royal Spirit, the amount of Draconic Fate condensed from this Royal Spirit is at least 900 strands. Killing it would be a pretty good harvest. In Mo Qingyun's opinion, obtaining 900 strands of royal fortune at once was a great reward. Kill! After learning about the Imperial Dragon Qi, Mo Qingyun was very straightforward and took the lead to kill. Mo Qingyun took the lead and attacked. Xiang Qingyi and the others didn't hesitate and immediately attacked the Emperor Spirit. In the face of Mo Qingyun's attack, the Emperor Spirit was furious. It roared and began to fight back. Although this Emperor Spirit did not evolve into a Dragon Fate Emperor Spirit, it was still very powerful and had reached the level of a quasi-god emperor. Therefore, the moment the Emperor Spirit made its move, it displayed its powerful strength. Under its attacks, the demons and deities were forced to retreat. Their battle prowess was on a completely different level. Mo Qingyun was surprised to see the strength of the King Spirit. He quickly said, "Be careful, everyone. This King Spirit is very strong. Don't rush to fight it. Let's fight it for a while." Hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Xiang Qingyi and the others' attacks immediately weakened. King Spirits were different from them. When they fought, they couldn't replenish their god power. Thus, as long as Mo Qingyun and the others could hold on, they would be able to exhaust the Emperor Spirits to death. Time slowly passed. About an hour later, under Mo Qingyun and the others' all-out attacks, the Emperor Spirit was finally exhausted to death. After exhausting the Emperor Spirit to death, Mo Qingyun and the others relaxed, revealing a tired expression. In order to deal with this Emperor Spirit, they had consumed a lot of energy. Let's recuperate first before we enter the Emperor's Spirit ancestral tomb. After collecting all the Imperial Fate and Draconic Qi, Mo Qingyun instructed the others and sat down cross-legged to adjust his breathing. While Mo Qingyun was meditating, he was also absorbing the Imperial Dragon Qi to improve his cultivation. During the process of merging with the Imperial Dragon Fate, he realized that merging with the Imperial Dragon Fate had allowed his cultivation to increase rapidly. Then, the aura that Mo Qingyun exuded started to grow stronger. Sensing the change in Mo Qingyun's aura, Xiang Qingyi's beautiful eyes trembled slightly as she looked at Mo Qingyun in shock. Xiang Qingyi wasn't the only one who was surprised. Even Enchun and Aolai were surprised. They realized that Mo Qingyun was about to make a breakthrough in his cultivation. At this time, threads of law began to condense in the air above Mo Qingyun. 8,000 threads of law. Seeing the number of threads of law in Mo Qingyun's body, Xiang Qingyi's beautiful eyes widened and a strong sense of shock arose in her heart. In terms of the number of threads of law, even a late-stage great celestial might not be able to compare with Mo Qingyun. More importantly, Mo Qingyun's threads of law were too large. They were several times larger than an ordinary person. Under Xiang Qingyi's shocked gaze, the number of threads of law that Mo Qingyun condensed began to increase linearly. 8,100, 8,200, 8,300. Before long, the number of threads of law that Mo Qingyun condensed broke through the 10,000 mark. Not only that, but the number of threads of law that Mo Qingyun condensed did not stop increasing. Soon, several hours passed. When the number of threads of law that Mo Qingyun condensed reached 15,000, it finally stopped increasing. At this moment, Xiang Qingyi was completely dumbfounded. She felt her head buzzing. In her understanding, when the number of threads of law condensed exceeded 10,000, one's cultivation would break through to the celestial deity realm. But the number of threads of law that Mo Qingyun condensed reached 15,000, and his cultivation was actually just late-stage great celestial deity realm. This was also too abnormal. Under everyone's shocked gazes, Mo Qingyun withdrew from cultivation, revealing a satisfied smile on his face. The gains of the cultivation this time could be said to be tremendous. The current him could fight with late-stage celestial deity realm powerhouses just by relying on his basic combat strength. Let's go. Withdrawing from cultivation, Mo Qingyun was not willing to delay time. He got up and walked towards the depths of the Imperial Mausoleum. Regarding Mo Qingyun's situation, although Xiang Qingyi was very surprised, she did not ask too much either. Strange, why haven't I run into Xiang Yan and the rest all along? Could it be that they all left? Along the way, Mo Qingyun's brows were tightly furrowed, his heart filled with doubts. To him, if Xiang Yan and the rest left, he would have no way of snatching Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi. With less than 10,000 Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi, he had no way of condensing a Dragon Qi royal spirit. Hearing Mo Qingyun's doubtful words, Xiang Qingyi thought about it and said, "With my understanding of them, they shouldn't have left easily. They should be scheming to deal with and snatch other people's Imperial Fate and Dragon Qi." Getting such an answer from Xiang Qingyi's mouth, Mo Qingyun revealed a satisfied smile. At least they had not left yet. Bang, bang, bang. That this time, when Mo Qingyun and the rest were hurrying along, a series of intense fighting sounds came from ahead. At the same time, not far ahead of Mo Qingyun, intense fighting sounds also appeared. What a terrifying battle aftershock, even stronger than the Emperor's spirit's explosive power just now. Could it be that the Dragon Qi royal spirit appeared? Sensing the battle sounds ahead, Mo Qingyun was alarmed inwardly, giving rise to a strong sense of shock and curiosity. Immediately after, Mo Qingyun's speed increased by a few notches. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had sped up, Xiang Qingyi and the rest also sped up. Before long, Mo Qingyun and the rest arrived near the battle and saw a group of people fighting a giant golden figure. That's the Dragon Qi royal spirit. Seeing the golden figure, Xiang Qingyi's beautiful eyes trembled, filled with shock. Hearing Xiang Qingyi's words, Mo Qingyun immediately released his consciousness to sense the golden figure. Immediately, Mo Qingyun's expression became a little excited. It really was the Dragon Qi royal spirit. Celestial Emperor Realm. When he recognized the Dragon Qi royal spirit, Mo Qingyun's expression tensed up, feeling a great sense of insight. He had not expected that the Dragon Qi royal spirit's strength had reached the Celestial Emperor Realm. Given Mo Qingyun's strength, it would be very difficult to deal with a Celestial Emperor Realm powerhouse. Of course, if Mo Qingyun used the sealed gate, the situation would be different. However, Mo Qingyun did not want to reveal this trump card. As Mo Qingyun pondered, He recognized the people fighting the Dragon Chi royal spirit. It was Xiang Yun and the rest, whom he had not seen before. Chapter 33-32. Emo Qingyun's face tensed up even more when he glanced at Xiang Yun and the others. Xiang Yun's group was much stronger than he had expected. Apart from Xiang Yun, who was slightly weaker, the others were all late divine kings. In particular, the black-masked person beside Luo Qinsha was a quasi-emperor. They're very strong. Emo Qingyun was surprised and raised his guard against them. It wasn't going to be easy to snatch and kill the Dragon Fate Emperor spirits from them. As Emo Qingyun pondered, Anchun arrived beside him. He was also tensed up. Master, these people are very strong. What should we do? Emo Qingyun hesitated when he heard Anchun's question. Let's try to negotiate with them first. If it doesn't work out, we'll just have to take it by force. Emo Qingyun smiled faintly after he said that. He looked at Xiang Yun and said, Princess Xiang Yun, didn't you say that you would help me find the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit? Now that it has appeared, why don't you give it to me? Emo Qingyun's words attracted the attention of Xiang Yun and the others. They all looked over at him. Xiang Yun frowned after studying Emo Qingyun and the others. Mr. Emo, this Dragon Fate Royal Spirit is very strong. If I let you take care of it, it would be the same as harming you. To avoid getting you involved in the battle, you should leave as soon as possible so that you don't get caught up in it. Emo Qingyun understood Xiang Yun's attitude when he heard her words. He knew what to do. It seemed like it would be impossible for Xiang Yun to give him face. If he wanted to kill the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit, he would have to fight for it with his strength. As Emo Qingyun pondered what to do, Xiang Qingyi walked over and said, Mr. Emo, this Dragon Fate Royal Spirit is very strong. We can't kill it with just the few of us. In my opinion, even if something happens to us, we should wait until the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit is heavily injured. Upon hearing Xiang Qingyi's suggestion, Emo Qingyun nodded in agreement. One had to know that Nightmare Fragrance and the others hadn't attacked yet. It was unknown where they were hiding. Before they found Nightmare Fragrance and the others, if they attacked at this time, it was likely they would become cannon fodder. Let's retreat first. We'll act according to the circumstances later. Emo Qingyun had an idea, so he led Anchun and the others to retreat to the side. A moment later, Emo Qingyun felt that once he left Xiang Yun and the others' perception, he stopped retreating. Emo Qingyun stopped and looked at Xiang Qingyi and the others with a serious expression. Wait a moment. When the Dragon Fate King Spirit can't hold on any longer, regardless of whether Xiang Yan and the others make a move or not, the few of you will go and cause trouble. Try your best to let the Dragon Fate King Spirit escape. Xiang Qingyi was confused when she heard Emo Qingyun's words. Mr. Emo, a Celestial Emperor's Draconic Fate Royal Spirit is very powerful. If it escapes, it will be very difficult to capture it. Xiang Qingyi didn't understand. In her opinion, even if Emo Qingyun couldn't seize the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit, he shouldn't have let it escape. I have my own plans. Emo Qingyun didn't answer Xiang Qingyi's question. He kept her in suspense. Xiang Qingyi wasn't a very curious person, so she didn't ask any further when she saw that Emo Qingyun wasn't willing to say. Next, Emo Qingyun and the others waited patiently for Xiang Yun and the others' battle to come to an end. Time trickled by. As time passed, the commotion caused by Xiang Yun and the others' battle started to die down. When they sensed this, Anchun and the others started to tense up. They knew very well that the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit couldn't hold on much longer. Mr. Emo, the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit can't hold on much longer. Shouldn't we make a move? Xiang Qingyi asked Emo Qingyun for his opinion when she sensed the battle on Xiang Yun's side. Emo Qingyun was silent for a while when he heard Xiang Qingyi's question. Then, he shook his head and said, Let's wait a little longer. Now isn't a good time. Let's wait for the perfect opportunity. Emo Qingyun's answer confused Xiang Qingyi and the others. They couldn't help but feel even more anxious. Now wasn't a good time? Judging from the current situation, the draconic fate emperor spirit would be killed if he waited any longer. When he saw the puzzled expressions on their faces, Emo Qingyun stopped keeping them in suspense. Have you all forgotten that Xiang Yan and the others are still hiding? Based on her previous behavior, she wouldn't leave so easily. Since she has also reached the innermost part of the tomb, there's no way she doesn't know what's going on here. If that's the case, they might also be hiding in the dark, waiting for the best opportunity to strike and kill. Before they appear, if we make a move, it will only create a situation where the sandpiper and the clam fight, allowing her to reap the benefit. Xiang Qingyi and the others immediately had an answer when they heard Emo Qingyun's words. Emo Qingyun's consideration was good. With Xiang Yan's personality, she could really see through this. Asterisk bang bang bang. Asterisk while Emo Qingyun and the others were talking, the originally quiet battle suddenly became intense again. Sensing this situation, Emo Qingyun and the others' eyes lit up. They knew what was going on. Xiang Yan and the others should have made a move. Let's go over. Guessing that Xiang Yan and the others had made a move, Emo Qingyun didn't want to wait any longer and immediately flew over. Seeing Emo Qingyun take the lead, Xiang Qingyi and the others quickly followed. As they flew closer to the battlefield, Missouri Qingyun didn't forget to say, "You all go and disrupt the situation. Leave the dragon fate royal spirit to me." "Leave it to you." Xiang Qingyi's beautiful eyes trembled when she heard Emo Qingyun's words. She was shocked. She had seen Emo Qingyun's battle and methods. It wasn't as simple as it seemed. If ordinary Divine King Realm experts were to clash with Emo Qingyun, they might not be able to gain an advantage. However, the dragon fate royal spirit before them wasn't a divine king, but an existence comparable to a divine emperor. Although Emo Qingyun's cultivation base had improved considerably, would he be able to deal with the dragon fate royal spirit? Although she didn't understand, Xiang Qingyi didn't ask and went to disrupt the situation with Chun and the others. How lively! Emo Qingyun smiled faintly when he arrived near the battlefield. He greeted everyone and said, "It's just a dragon fate royal spirit. Why do you all have to fight over it? Princess Qingyi, go and persuade your sister. Princess Qingyi might not be able to do it alone. And Chun, Aolai, go and help her." Under Emo Qingyun's instructions, the three of them immediately joined the battle. The situation instantly became chaotic. Then, the situation went completely out of control. The dragon fate royal spirit also lost its suppression. Roar. After the dragon fate royal spirit broke free of its suppression, it roared angrily and immediately fled into the distance. Seeing that the dragon fate royal spirit was about to escape, Xiang Yan and Xiang Yun's groups were alarmed and prepared to give chase. Chapter 33-33. The dragon fate royal spirit is escaping. Chase it. You bunch of bastards. Look at what you've done. What are you doing? Do you know that the dragon fate royal spirit is escaping? Xiang Yan and Xiang Yun immediately gave chase when they saw the dragon fate royal spirit trying to escape. However, when they gave chase, they were stopped by Chun and the other two. Xiang Yan and Xiang Yun both panicked when they saw that the dragon's fate emperor spirit was about to escape. While these two groups were getting anxious, Emo Qingyun's figure flashed and chased after the draconic fate emperor spirit. Xiang Yun and Xiang Yan were stunned when they saw Emo Qingyun's actions. What was he trying to do? Emo Qingyun was only a great celestial. Even if he had many trump cards, would he be able to take down the dragon fate royal spirit? When they had fought Emo Qingyun before, the strength that Emo Qingyun had displayed was only comparable to a mid-late godly king. Even so, there was still a huge gap between him and the dragon fate royal spirit, which had the strength of a godly emperor. Xiang Qingyi, what are you trying to do? Do you think that you can help Xiang Xiong obtain the throne by disrupting our plan to kill the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit? Xiang Qingyi, why are you helping Xiang Xiong if you don't care about power? Xiang Yan was furious when she saw that the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit had escaped and criticized Xiang Qingyi. She didn't understand what Xiang Qingyi was trying to gain by doing this. Xiang Yan wasn't the only one who was furious. Even Xiang Yun couldn't keep her calm. Sister Qingyi, you forced me to do this. You can't blame me for this. As Xiang Yun's words fell, the aura she was emitting immediately increased by several degrees. Xiang Qingyi and Xiang Yan's expressions changed drastically when they sensed the change in Xiang Yun's aura. Peak Godly King. It turned out that Xiang Yun's mid-Godly King cultivation base wasn't her true cultivation base. Xiang Yun's strength immediately soared when she stopped hiding her cultivation base. Break through their obstruction with brute force. Get out of the way if you don't want to die. You can't stop us. As Xiang Yun stopped hiding her strength, Xiang Qingyi and the other two found it even harder to stop them. After a few breaths of time, although Dawn and the others tried to stop them, Xiang Yun and the others still managed to break through the blockade and chase after the Draconic Fate Spirit. When they saw the actions of Xiang Yun and the others, Xiang Yan and the others didn't hesitate and immediately chased after them. Although Xiang Yun's side was strong, she wouldn't sit and wait for death. She wouldn't give up so quickly. Anchun, what should we do now? Seeing that both parties had left, Ao Lai showed an anxious expression and asked about Anchun's plan. Xiang Qingyi also turned her head to look, wanting to see what Anchun was going to do. Since Master has instructed us to do this, we should be able to take down the Emperor's spirit. Let's go and take a look. Anchun didn't think too much about it. He chased after Xiang Yun and Xiang Yan's group to see if he could help Mo Qingyun. Seeing Anchun's actions, Xiang Qingyi didn't say anything and immediately followed closely behind them. While Anchun and the others were rushing, Xiang Qingyi had a puzzled expression. The two of you, do you really think that Mr. Mo has the confidence to take down the Draconic Fate Spirit? Although she had seen Mo Qingyun's methods, Xiang Qingyi still doubted that Mo Qingyun had such battle strength. After all, the difference in cultivation between the two was a little too big. Definitely. There shouldn't be a problem. Anchun and Xiang Yan answered confidently. This result made Xiang Qingyi's curiosity grow even stronger. However, although she was shocked and curious, Xiang Qingyi didn't ask any more questions. In her opinion, the answer would be revealed very soon. Somewhere in the Imperial Tomb, Mo Qingyun rode on the eight-winged Divine Force Pegasus and chased after the Draconic Fate Spirit all the way to the tomb. After the Draconic Fate Spirit broke free from the siege, it burrowed into the tomb and looked like it wouldn't come out even if it was beaten to death. You want to be a coward? I won't let you get what you want. After seeing the Draconic Fate Spirit's performance, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and started to attack the tomb. As Mo Qingyun attacked, he also summoned two specters to help him attack the tomb. Bang, bang, bang. Under Mo Qingyun's torrential attacks, the tomb shook violently and showed signs of collapsing. Mo Qingyun's frenzied attacks made the Draconic Fate Spirit, who was hiding in the tomb, unable to remain calm. Roar. A roar was heard. Mo Qingyun saw a golden figure fly out of the tomb, exuding a powerful aura. When he saw the Draconic Fate Spirit fly out, Mo Qingyun's face tensed up. He felt a little uncertain. I hope it can be sealed. Mo Qingyun prayed silently in his heart. Without hesitation, he used the sealed door on the Draconic Fate Spirit. Then, a door of light with a mysterious aura flew out from his palm. The Draconic Fate Spirit naturally knew the power of the sealed door. Soon, the sealed door entered its body and suppressed it. Soon, not only was the Draconic Fate Spirit's Draconic Fate Spirit suppressed, but even its connection with the tomb was cut off. Immediately, the Draconic Fate Spirit's aura started to weaken rapidly. Soon, it fell to the level of an early-stage divine monarch. It had fallen by an entire cultivation level. Furthermore, it had fallen from a celestial dharch to a divine monarch. It wasn't as simple as falling from a lower cultivation level. Kill. After sealing the draconic fate spirit's strength, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and immediately attacked it. His time was precious and he couldn't afford to waste it. One had to know that Xiang Yun and Xiang Yan wouldn't give up so easily. Xiang Qingyi and the other two might be able to hold them back for a while, but they wouldn't be able to hold them back for long. Therefore, Mo Qingyun had to take down the draconic fate spirit as soon as possible. It was also because of this that Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate to use the sealed door to take down the draconic fate spirit. In the face of Mo Qingyun and the other two's frenzied attacks, the draconic fate spirit, which was already heavily injured and only had the strength of an early-stage divine monarch, began to crumble. In just an instant, the draconic fate spirit's aura weakened by another level. Mo Qingyun was very clear about the logic of taking advantage of the other party's weakness. Seeing that the draconic fate spirit's strength had weakened again, Mo Qingyun's attacks became even more ruthless. A few breaths later, the draconic fate spirit carried a strong sense of unwillingness as it was captured by Mo Qingyun and thrown into the Fortune mainland. After killing the draconic fate spirit, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and put away the two ghost gods. After doing all this, Mo Qingyun didn't stay any longer and prepared to return to meet up with Xiang Qingyi and the others. At this moment, two groups of people quickly flew towards him and surrounded him. These two groups of people were naturally Xiang Yun and Xiang Yan. Chapter 33-34. They surrounded Mo Qingyun and didn't see the Dragon Fate Emperor spirit. Both groups were shocked. After that, Xiang Yun and Xiang Yan's group looked at Mo Qingyun with puzzled expressions. Xiang Yun was the first to speak. Mr. Mo, where did the Dragon Fate Emperor spirit go? Did you kill it? Xiang Yan's expression tensed up when she heard Xiang Yun's question. She looked like she was ready to attack at any moment. Under everyone's nervous gazes, Mo Qingyun said casually, I don't know. I lost it when I chased it here. Xiang Yun and Xiang Yan were doubtful when they heard Mo Qingyun's reply. They didn't really believe him. Xiang Yan's face was full of suspicion. That's impossible. We just sensed the sound of an intense battle. How could it suddenly disappear? Mr. Mo, I hope you'll tell us the truth so that we won't be disrespectful to you. Xiang Yan's attitude made Mo Qingyun unhappy. His expression gradually turned cold. Princess Xiang Yan, please pay attention to your status. How I, Mo Qingyun, do things is not up to you to tell me what to do. Even if Empress Xiang Lingyi was here, she wouldn't have the right to tell me what to do, let alone you. Mo Qingyun's domineering attitude made Xiang Yan tremble and her face turned pale. She finally remembered that the young man before her wasn't an ordinary person. She'd been so focused on capturing the Dragon Fate Emperor spirit that she'd forgotten Mo Qingyun's identity. Xiang Yan has offended you. Please don't take offense, Mr. Mo. Xiang Yan's attitude changed drastically when she heard Mo Qingyun's words. She hurriedly apologized to Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun's expression improved when he saw Xiang Yan's attitude. He didn't pay any more attention to her. Then, he turned to Xiang Yun and said coldly, Are you going to attack me too? Xiang Yun's expression changed when she heard Mo Qingyun's question. She hesitated. To attack or not to attack? She had mixed feelings and didn't know what to do. While Xiang Yun was hesitating, Xiang Qingyi and the other two arrived. Xiang Yun glanced at Xiang Yan when she saw Xiang Qingyi and the others. In the end, she didn't choose to attack. She said, Young Master Mo, we chased you all the way here because we were worried about your safety. We were afraid that you would be in danger if you encountered the royal spirit. Xiang Yun's reply made Mo Qingyun's expression turn for the better. He said, Then I'll have to trouble Princess Xiang Yun. Although Mo Qingyun knew that Xiang Yun didn't chase after him for this reason, he still needed to exchange some pleasantries. If that's the case, I'll take my leave. As Emo Qingyun's words fell, he didn't waste any more words with Xiang Yun and the others. He directly left with Xiang Qingyi and the others. Looking at Emo Qingyun's back, Luo Qinsha was puzzled. That's strange. According to Emo Qingyun's previous actions, he's in desperate need of the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit. Why did he suddenly give up? Also, didn't he stop us because he wanted to chase after the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit? Based on his attitude, it seems like he doesn't care about the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit anymore. Could he have already, after listening to Luo Qinsha's analysis? Xiang Yun and the others were stunned as they thought of a certain possibility. The Dragon Fate Royal Spirit had been killed by Emo Qingyun. Although this outcome was hard to believe, it had to be the truth. When Xiang Yun thought of this, a resolute expression appeared on her face. He has obtained the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit. We can't let him meet up with Xiang Xiong. The moment he gives the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit to Xiang Xiong, there will be no more suspense in this competition. After saying this, Xiang Yun's figure flashed and she chased after Luo Qinsha and the others. Xiang Yan and the others exchanged glances when they saw Xiang Yun and the others' actions. However, they still quickly chased after them. Emo Qingyun didn't know that Xiang Yun and the others were chasing after him. Now that he had obtained the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit, there was nothing for him to be anxious about. Thus, he walked unhurriedly towards the exit. Xiang Qingyi was confused when she saw Emo Qingyun's behavior. Mr. Emo, since the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit has appeared and its strength has been greatly reduced, this is our chance. Are we going to give up just like that? Xiang Qingyi didn't know that the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit had already been obtained by Emo Qingyun. When he heard Xiang Qingyi's question, he smiled faintly and shook his head. However, he didn't explain. Emo Qingyun raised his hand and beckoned. A huge golden silhouette appeared and quickly disappeared. Sensing the aura just now, Xiang Qingyi was shocked. She said, That's right. It was the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit. When he saw that Xiang Qingyi had guessed it, Emo Qingyun didn't try to hide it and nodded affirmatively. Although she had already guessed it, she was still shocked when she saw Emo Qingyun nod affirmatively. Previously, she had heard from Enchen that Emo Qingyun had a way to kill the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit, but she had been skeptical. She hadn't expected that Emo Qingyun would actually be able to do it. Moreover, Emo Qingyun had killed the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit extremely quickly. It had taken him less than half a minute at most. This discovery shocked Xiang Qingyi quite a bit. Then, the way she looked at Emo Qingyun changed drastically again. Emo Qingyun was undoubtedly much stronger and more mysterious than she had imagined. Emo Qingyun didn't mind Xiang Qingyi's shock at all. He had a satisfied smile on his face. The purpose of entering the Imperial Mausoleum this time had been perfectly achieved. Not only had he killed the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit, but he had also obtained a lot of Imperial Fate and Draconic Qi. Princess Qingyi, can you contact Xiang Xiong? From Emo Qingyun's point of view, he could leave as long as he met up with Xiang Xiong. Hearing Emo Qingyun's question, Xiang Qingyi tried to contact Xiang Xiong to meet up with them and leave together. After a while, Xiang Qingyi's expression changed slightly. I've contacted them. They're not far away. It seems like they're not in the inner area. After contacting Xiang Xiong and the others, Emo Qingyun and the others met up with them and hurried over. Xiang Xiong and the others were very close. They were collecting the Imperial Fate and Draconic Qi not far away. They were very busy. Xiang Xiong, in particular, surprised Emo Qingyun the most. He had actually broken through to the Divine King realm. Mr. Emo, I've finally found you. Xiang Xiong was overjoyed when he saw Emo Qingyun and the others. He was a little excited. In his heart, Emo Qingyun was his backbone. Before meeting up with Emo Qingyun, he was very anxious. He was afraid that he would be eliminated at any time. After exchanging a few pleasantries with Mo Qingyun, Xiang Xiong asked curiously, Mr. Mo, you should have gone to the inner area of the Imperial Tomb. Did you find the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit there? Hearing Xiang Xiong's question, Mo Qingyun didn't hide it and nodded calmly. Seeing Mo Qingyun's reaction, Xiang Xiong was shocked. His eyes were filled with surprise. Mo Qingyun had actually found the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit. Hurry up and read it. Chapter 33-35. Apart from the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit, I also obtained quite a bit of Imperial Fate Draconic Chi. Mo Qingyun briefly told Xiang Xiong about what he had gained from the mausoleum. He then asked Xiang Xiong, Did you gain anything while you were outside the mausoleum? I did gain something, but it was very limited. Xiang Xiong looked a little depressed when he talked about his gains. Although there was some Imperial Fate Draconic Chi in the mausoleum outside the mausoleum, the amount was very limited. Even though I tried my best, I only managed to gather a little more than 1,000 Imperial Fate Draconic Chi. Mo Qingyun frowned slightly when he heard Xiang Xiong's answer. Only a little more than 1,000 Imperial Fate Draconic Chi. Even if you include what I have, you only have about 8,000 Imperial Fate Draconic Chi. You might not be able to surpass Xiang Yun and Xiang Yin. Xiang Xiong was stunned when he heard how much Imperial Fate Draconic Chi Mo Qingyun had. He thought to himself, doesn't this mean that Mr. Mo has obtained more than 7,000 Imperial Fate Draconic Chi in the past few days? Not only that, but he also obtained the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit. That's terrifying. Seeing Mo Qingyun's reaction, Xiang Qingyi walked up and said, Young Master Mo, you don't have to worry about Xiang Xiong's results. If you give him both the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit and Imperial Fate Draconic Chi, he'll definitely come in first place. As for the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit and Imperial Fate Draconic Chi, you don't have to worry about giving them to Xiang Xiong. They'll be returned to Xiang Xiong once the results are out. Xiang Xiong will give them to you then. Everything will be fine. After listening to Xiang Qingyi's explanation, the worry in Mo Qingyun's heart immediately lessened to the extreme. That way there wouldn't be any problems. Mo Qingyun then raised his hand and took out the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit and Imperial Fate Draconic Chi. He then handed them all to Xiang Xiong. Thank you, Mr. Mo. Xiang Xiong quickly bowed and thanked him after receiving the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit and Imperial Fate Draconic Chi. Mo Qingyun waved his hand in response to Xiang Xiong's gratitude. Since we've achieved our goal, there's no point in us staying here any longer. Let's leave the mausoleum. After instructing everyone, Mo Qingyun walked forward, preparing to leave the mausoleum. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Xiang Qingyi and the others did not hesitate and followed behind Mo Qingyun. Now that he had left the Imperial Emperor Tomb, he no longer needed to search for the Imperial Dragon Chi and Imperial Dragon Chi. More than 2 hours was from with Mo Qingyun and the others rushing at full speed, they arrived at the exit of the Imperial Mausoleum. However, at this moment there were 2 groups of people in front of them blocking their path. These 2 groups of people were precisely Xiang Yun and Xiang Yin's groups. Mo Qingyun's face darkened when he saw that his path was blocked. What are you trying to do by blocking our path? He asked coldly. Xiang Yan's face darkened when she heard Mo Qingyun's question. You're really good at acting. If we had been a little careless, we might have been fooled by you. Mo Qingyun didn't understand Xiang Yan's words. Princess Xiang Yan, what do you mean? I don't understand at all. Seeing Mo Qingyun's attitude, Xiang Yan thought that Mo Qingyun was feigning ignorance. He became even more displeased and said, Young Master Mo, everyone understands. Don't feign ignorance. The Draconic Fate Royal Spirit is with you, right? We don't want to become enemies with you. As long as you agree to hand over the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit, we promise not to make things difficult for you, said Princess Xiang Yan. Mo Qingyun was startled and said, Princess Xiang Yan, I don't understand what you're saying. You saw the Dragon Fate Emperor Spirit run away. Besides, the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit is comparable to a celestial Dharch powerhouse. How could I capture it with my cultivation base? Emo Qingyun's explanation caused Xiang Yan's brows to knit together tightly. She was a little uncertain. Xiang Yan was at a loss for words. Mr. Emo, my request is very simple. I don't want your Dragon Fate Royal Spirit. I just want to borrow your Imperial Fate Draconic Chi. I will give all the Dragon Fate Royal Spirits to you after the test for the throne is over. Our combined Imperial Fate Draconic Chi will definitely exceed 10,000. When the time comes, you can use this Imperial Fate Draconic Chi to nurture another Dragon Fate Royal Spirit. Xiang Yan's face darkened when she heard Xiang Yun's words. She was extremely displeased. In her opinion, Xiang Yun's suggestion was clearly selling her out. They had previously discussed how they would snatch Emo Qingyun's Dragon Fate Royal Spirit together. However, Xiang Yun had actually changed her mind. This way, she would be the bad guy and make a stark contrast to Xiang Yun. Princess Xiang Yun, I naturally can't change my mind since I've already agreed to Prince Xiang Xiong's request. Emo Qingyun rejected Xiang Yun's suggestion without hesitation. His expression turned serious as he said, "There's no need to say anything else. Just tell me if you're going to let me leave or not." Xiang Yun and Xiang Yan's expressions turned even colder when they saw Emo Qingyun's attitude. Mr. Emo, since you aren't willing to cooperate, Xiang Yun has no choice but to offend you. Xiang Yun immediately tore apart her pretense and made a move against Emo Qingyun. Xiang Yun's figure flashed before she appeared in front of Emo Qingyun and unleashed a terrifying aura. Xiang Qingyi didn't hesitate when she saw Xiang Yun's move. She immediately stood in front of Emo Qingyun. "Sister, I won't be courteous if you continue to get involved in this mess." Xiang Yun's face darkened when she saw Xiang Qingyi's move. She put on a strong front. The current her was a stark contrast to her usual self. "Let's make a move too." Luo Qinsha and the others stopped watching and joined the fray when they saw Xiang Yun make a move. Luo Qinsha and Yin Wujiu attacked together and unleashed a terrifying aura. Luo Qinsha's aura was slightly weaker than Xiang Yun's, but he was also close to the peak of the Divine King realm. However, Yin Wujiu's aura was even stronger than Xiang Yun's. He had reached the level of a quasi-god emperor. The remaining three people were also in the late and middle stages of the Divine King realm and possessed terrifying fighting strength. A quasi-god emperor and two peak divine kings. Emo Qingyun frowned when he sensed the aura of Xiang Yun and the others. He thought to himself, "I'm afraid I won't be able to fight them even if I summon all my ghost deities. Unless I use the sealed gate to seal their cultivation, I won't be able to fight them. More importantly, Xiang Yan and the others are on the side. If they join forces, I won't have any chance of breaking through if I don't use the sealed gate." Emo Qingyun suddenly felt a strong sense of hesitation. It had to be said that the current him had fallen into a hopeless situation. He had no better choice. Chapter 33-36. Mr. Emo, give up resisting. You don't stand a chance against us. Please don't make things difficult for us. Besides, fists and legs have no eyes. It wouldn't be good if we hurt you. After surrounding Emo Qingyun and the others, Xiang Yan and Xiang Yun pretended that they couldn't bear it and continued to persuade Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun narrowed his eyes as he listened to Xiang Yan and Xiang Yun's persuasion. He had a plan in mind. "Princess Xiang Yan, the strength of your group doesn't seem to be a match for Princess Xiang Yun and the others." Glancing at Xiang Yan and the others, Mo Qingyun had a playful smile on his face as he reminded her meaningfully, "You and Princess Xiang Yun are working together to deal with me. If I am subdued, what will you do if she turns around and attacks you? Also, given their strength, even if I hand over the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit, it doesn't seem like it will fall into your hands." Not to mention the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit, even the Dragon Fate on my body probably won't fall into your hands. If that's the case, you won't be able to obtain anything. What's the point of joining forces with her to deal with me? Emo Qingyun's persuasion made Xiang Yan's expression darken, and some other thoughts appeared in her mind. She knew that Emo Qingyun's words were meant to drive a wedge between her and Xiang Yun. However, she had to admit that Emo Qingyun's words made a lot of sense. If Emo Qingyun was subdued, they wouldn't be a match for Xiang Yun and the others. Emo Qingyun's smile deepened when he saw the change in Xiang Yan's expression. Princess Xiang Yan, both our groups are weaker and our battle strength is relatively similar. Why don't we join forces and eliminate Princess Xiang Yun first? After we eliminate Princess Xiang Yun and the others, we can have a fair competition. How about that? Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, the hesitation on Xiang Yan's face intensified. She was really tempted by Emo Qingyun's suggestion. In her opinion, fighting against Emo Qingyun and the others was much easier than fighting against Xiang Yun and the others. Seeing Nightmare Fragrance's reaction, Emo Qingyun didn't stop talking. He continued, Princess Nightmare Fragrance, your royal sister Xiang Yun isn't as simple as she seems. Can you imagine that she, who is usually innocent and naive, has hidden herself so deeply? Can you guarantee that she doesn't have any other trump cards? Emo Qingyun's series of questions caused Xiang Yan's face to twitch. His face turned pale. She had to be on guard against Emo Qingyun's reminder. Xiang Yun had indeed hidden herself too deeply. Royal sister, don't listen to his nonsense. He's trying to drive a wedge between us. Xiang Yun's face darkened when she saw Xiang Yan's reaction. She immediately defended herself. Originally, she had wanted to ignore Emo Qingyun's lips and tongue. Even if she ignored him, he wouldn't be able to play any tricks. But after seeing Nightmare Fragrance's reaction, Fragrance Note could no longer maintain her calm. She could feel that after Emo Qingyun's words, Nightmare Fragrance was truly moved. After persuading Nightmare Fragrance, Fragrance Note continued, Don't forget that Mr. Emo is an honored guest of the royal sacred ground. He's the descendant of a godly venerable. He has many more tricks up his sleeve than I do. Xiang Yun's persuasion made Nightmare Fragrance even more hesitant. What should she do? Bang, bang, bang. At this moment, while Nightmare Fragrance was hesitating, a series of deafening sounds were heard. Luo Qinsha and the other four suddenly turned around and heavily injured Nightmare Fragrance's subordinates. Seeing this scene, Nightmare Fragrance's pretty face was shocked. She stared at Fragrance Note with wide eyes and said, Xiang Yun, Xiang Yun didn't care about Nightmare Fragrance's anger at all. She said, Royal sister, you're not a child anymore. Don't you understand that the winner takes all? Since you're disloyal, what am I hesitating for? Do I really have to wait for you to join forces with Mr. Emo? Xiang Yun's words made Nightmare Fragrance's face darken. She was furious and said, Xiang Yun, you're ruthless. You forced me to do this. After angrily rebuking Fragrance Note, she made a decision. She looked at Emo Qingyun and said, Mr. Emo, let's join forces to deal with them. I don't have any other requests. Just don't let her inherit the throne. Hearing Nightmare Fragrance's words, Emo Qingyun showed a satisfied smile and nodded readily. He said, Princess Nightmare Fragrance, don't worry. Leave it to me. You're already injured. It's not good for you to fight too fiercely. You go deal with those 3 people. Leave Princess Xiang Yun and the other 2 to us. After Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he controlled the demons to deal with Luo Qinsha and Yin Wujiu. Soon, the battle circle was divided into 2 groups. Nightmare Fragrance and the others were in one group, and Emo Qingyun and the others were in the other. Emo Qingyun didn't dare to believe that Nightmare Fragrance and Fragrance Note were really fighting. What if they were putting on an act to trick Emo Qingyun? If Emo Qingyun let his guard down and fell into their trap, wouldn't he be in big trouble? Nightmare Fragrance wasn't dissatisfied with Emo Qingyun's arrangement at all. She focused on dealing with the three godkings. Seeing Nightmare Fragrance and the others' actions, Fragrance Note's expression turned cold. She unconsciously clenched her fists. However, Fragrance Note quickly regained her calm. She smiled innocently at Emo Chingyun and said, Mr. Emo, when you first came to the imperial capital, Yunner helped you a lot. She connected you with Brother Shah and helped you complete the transaction smoothly. Now I want the royal spirit to win the test, but you keep stopping me. Isn't this a little too unreasonable? As Fragrance Note spoke, she put on an aggrieved expression. It was instinctively unbearable. If someone who didn't know the truth saw her expression, they might really be fooled. Unfortunately, given Emo Chingyun's understanding of her, he naturally wouldn't be fooled. Princess Fragrance Note, Emo Chingyun said indifferently. At this level, it's useless no matter how much you pretend. No matter what you say, it's useless. If you want the imperial fate and the draconic chi, come and take it with your own abilities. Emo Chingyun's attitude infuriated Fragrance Note. Her expression became somewhat malevolent as she said, Mr. Emo, you forced me to do this. Don't blame Yun for not respecting you. As soon as Fragrance Note finished speaking, she attacked fiercely. She didn't hold back at all. As Fragrance Note used her full potential, the pressure on Xiang Qingyi to stop her immediately increased. Xiang Qingyi kept being pushed back. Fragrance Note smiled coldly and said, Mr. Emo, if this is all you've got, I advise you not to resist. When he heard Fragrance Note's smug words, Emo Chingyun smiled faintly and said, Princess Fragrance Note, I didn't expect you to be so smug. Looks like I overestimated you. You're just SOSO. As soon as Emo Chingyun finished speaking, he raised his hand and summoned 2 more specters. Chapter 33-37. He has 2 more demon immortals. He has hidden them too well. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation 5. 5 Divine King Realm Demon Immortals. All of them are in the late Divine King Realm. That's terrifying. In addition to him and his 2 servants with the battle prowess that he controls, unless a God Emperor makes a move, no one can do anything to him. As expected of the descendant of the Supreme God, ordinary people can't compare to him. Everyone was shocked. Not only did everyone exclaim in surprise, but even Xiang Yun was shocked and her expression turned serious. Originally, she thought that with his strength, dealing with Emo Chingyun should be an easy matter. Who would have thought that Emo Chingyun would have such a trump card? She was in a difficult position. Seeing Emo Chingyun's performance, Yin Wujiu squinted his eyes. A cold light flashed in his eyes. He is in the late Divine King realm, but he can control demon immortals without fear. This kid has many secrets. Looks like the news that spread some time ago about someone obtaining the inheritance of the supreme god of Gaimen should be referring to him. He has obtained the supreme god's inheritance. This kid is very lucky. Since I have encountered him, I should fulfill my wish. Yin Wujiu thought to himself. Without hesitation, he flew towards Emo Chingyun. Princess Xiangyun, let me deal with this guy. You go and deal with the others. Yin Wujiu did not wait for Xiang Yun to reply before he started fighting with the other 2 demon immortals. Xiang Yun hesitated for a moment before she accepted Yin Wujiu's request. In Xiang Yun's opinion, Emo Chingyun's identity was not simple. It would not be good for her to attack Emo Chingyun. In this way, it would be best for Yin Wujiu to deal with Emo Chingyun. At the very least, she would be able to find an excuse to give herself some leeway. Alright, Xiang Yun replied. Her figure flashed as she went to deal with Xiang Qingyi and the others. Soon, the 3 parties were engaged in a fierce battle. A terrifying battle erupted. Brat, you can't use your full strength here. Do you dare to fight somewhere else? After fighting with Emo Chingyun for a while, Yin Wujiu sneered and made a suggestion. Hearing Yin Wujiu's words, Emo Chingyun's expression froze. He was somewhat surprised by In Wujio's action. After pondering for a while, Mo Qingyun made a decision and said, "Why wouldn't I dare?" As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he turned around and flew into the Imperial Mausoleum. From Mo Qingyun's point of view, there were too many people here, and he had some trump cards that he couldn't use. If they were in a different place, he wouldn't have any worries. From the looks of it, In Wujio's suggestion was exactly what he wanted. Seeing Mo Qingyun's attitude, In Wujio was also surprised. He didn't expect Mo Qingyun to be so straightforward. "I didn't expect this brat to agree so readily. It has saved me a lot of trouble." In Wujio was slightly surprised. The sneer on his face deepened as he chased after Mo Qingyun. After a while, Mo Qingyun and In Wujio pulled away from the crowd. After leaving the battle zone, In Wujio looked at Mo Qingyun in front of him and sneered proudly. "Brat, since you're so cooperative, I'll give you a quick death later." Seeing In Wujio's smug look and hearing his confident words, Mo Qingyun smiled and said, "You seem to be happy too early. If you were an emperor god, you might be able to do something to me. But with your cultivation of a prospective emperor god, it's not enough." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, In Wujio's expression froze. He didn't understand why Mo Qingyun was so confident. Immediately, a strong sense of curiosity arose in In Wujio's heart. He really wanted to know what Mo Qingyun was relying on to be fearless in front of him. "You sure talk big. I hope you have some real skills." As In Wujio spoke, a strong bloodline power exploded from his body. This burst of bloodline power pressed down on Mo Qingyun, causing Mo Qingyun's bloodline to slow down. Sensing the situation in his body, Mo Qingyun was shocked. What a strong bloodline power! This person's bloodline grade isn't much lower than mine. While Mo Qingyun was shocked, he also activated his absolute beginning dark creation bloodline to resist In Wujio's bloodline pressure. Seeing that his bloodline pressure was ineffective against Mo Qingyun, In Wujio was shocked. "I forgot that you have the bloodline of the Dark Sky Holy Clan. Bloodline pressure doesn't have much of an effect on you. If that's the case, then let me see what other trump cards you have." In Wujio's figure flashed, and he charged at Mo Qingyun fiercely. Mo Qingyun wasn't afraid of In Wujio's attack at all. He said coldly, "Of course I have some trump cards. Otherwise, I wouldn't dare fight you alone." As Mo Qingyun spoke, he controlled the two specters to fight In Wujio. As he fought In Wujio, Mo Qingyun's brow furrowed slightly. Puzzled, he said, "His bloodline presence feels familiar. I seem to have met him somewhere before?" As Mo Qingyun thought about it, a shocked expression appeared on his face. He knew the origin of the In Crow Moxibustion. Then, Mo Qingyun's eyes widened. He looked at In Wujio and said in shock, "You're from the Nine In Heaven? Since you know, I can't let you live." In Wujio smiled darkly when his identity was exposed. He didn't show any panic. He must have been prepared for his identity to be exposed when he chased after Mo Qingyun. When Mo Qingyun saw In Wujio admit it, the shock in his heart immediately intensified. He thought to himself, "I didn't expect Shangyun to be related to the Nine In Heaven's evil race. This woman has hidden herself well. She must be under the control of the Nine In Heaven by now. It must be their idea that she's fighting for the throne. Doesn't that mean the Nine In Heaven's hands have reached into the sacred clan of Kongxian Heaven?" Mo Qingyun gave himself a fright when he thought of this. If that was the case, the sacred clan of Kongxian Heaven would be in a very bad situation. Thank goodness I came early. While Mo Qingyun was worried, he also felt a little relieved. If I'd come a little later, the Nine In Heaven's evil race would have attacked the sacred clan of Kongxian Heaven first. It wouldn't have been so easy for me to see Ling Long Bam Bam. While Mo Qingyun was lost in thought, the two ghostly immortals were sent flying. They were seriously injured. Mo Qingyun's expression changed when he saw their injuries. He was surprised by Yin Wujio's strength. Yin Wujio sneered proudly after sending the two ghostly immortals flying. He looked as if he was certain he could defeat Mo Qingyun. "Kid, what else do you have? Hurry up and use it, or you'll have a chance." With that, Yin Wujio's figure flashed and he attacked Mo Qingyun again. Chapter 33-38. The Sealed Door. Mo Qingyun no longer held back in the face of the Yin Crow Scorpio's attack. He immediately used the sealed door. With Yin Wujio's strength, if he continued to hold back, he would most likely be defeated by his opponent. With a flip of Mo Qingyun's palm, a light door emitting a mysterious power quickly condensed in his palm. After the sealed door was formed, Mo Qingyun blasted out with a palm strike, blasting the sealed door away. Whoosh! The moment the sealed door was thrown out, it turned into a ray of light and attacked Yin Wujio. Seeing the sealed door, Yin Wujio's expression changed. His eyes flashed with surprise and curiosity. He could feel that the sealed door's aura was very weak. There was no fluctuation of aura. However, he felt a vague sense of danger from the sealed gate. This made him very puzzled. Puff! While Yin Wujio was in a daze, the sealed door flashed and entered his body. Seeing this, Yin Wujio's expression changed and his eyes widened. The sealed gate actually penetrated his attack and directly blasted into his body. This was too strange. However, before Yin Wujio could recover from his shock, something even more shocking happened. My divine power, bloodline, soul, constitution, they are all suppressed by a force. Sensing the situation in his body, Yin Wujio was shocked to the extreme. Then, he felt a lingering fear as he thought about the light door that had entered his body. He said in surprise, "Could it be that the power that sealed my god power, bloodline, god soul, physique, was that light door? What sort of innate ability is this gate of light used by this brat? It actually has such an ability. Also, isn't this kid from the Dark Heaven Holy Clan? How can his divine power be so strange?" At that moment, Yin Wujio felt a strong sense of bewilderment. He felt that Mo Qingyun was strange. While Yin Wujio was shocked, the corners of Mo Qingyun's mouth curled up into a faint smile. "Looks like you're very satisfied with my trump card." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yin Wujio's expression changed. He stared coldly at Mo Qingyun and did not speak. After seeing Mo Qingyun's strangeness, he no longer dared to underestimate Mo Qingyun. He felt a strong sense of fear. This was because his cultivation had been sealed to the early Divine King realm. His strength had been reduced by almost 90%. As such, with his current strength, it would be somewhat dangerous for him to face Mo Qingyun. Seeing that Yin Wujio was silent, Mo Qingyun smiled mockingly and said, "Weren't you very arrogant just now? Why aren't you speaking now?" Yin Wujio was still silent. He looked hesitant. Looking at his appearance, he seemed to be considering whether to escape or continue fighting with Mo Qingyun. "Kill." Without waiting for Yin Wujio to make a decision, Mo Qingyun waved his arm and ordered the two ghostly immortals. After receiving Mo Qingyun's order, the two ghostly immortals roared and charged at Yin Wujio. Although the two demon gods were injured by the Yin Wujio, their combat strength was still very terrifying. Yin Wujio, whose cultivation was suppressed, began to feel a little powerless against the two ghostly immortals. Dragon Soaring Horse Transformation Technique. Mo Qingyun did not go easy on Yin Wujio. He formed a divine power Pegasus. After the Pegasus was formed, Mo Qingyun stopped watching and began to attack Yin Wujio. Whoosh! Mo Qingyun's figure flashed. He appeared behind Yin Wujio and slammed his palm down on him. As Mo Qingyun raised his hand, a terrifying lightning energy gathered in his palm. In just a moment, the lightning energy turned into the shadow of a dragon and attacked Yin Wujio's back. Sensing the danger behind him, Yin Wujio's face changed. He immediately turned around. "You want to fight me head-on? You're asking for it." Seeing Emo Chingyun attacking him, In Wuzhou's face turned green. He started to fight back against Emo Chingyun. In Wuzhou clenched his fist and punched at Emo Chingyun. Facing In Wuzhou's attack, Emo Chingyun did not retreat. He looked like he was going to trade his life for In Wuzhou's. In Wuzhou had an extraordinary background. He must have a way to save his life. Emo Chingyun wanted to force it out. Otherwise, even if In Wuzhou was severely injured, he might not be able to stay. Seeing that Emo Chingyun did not dodge, In Wuzhou's eyelids twitched. His eyes were filled with shock. He did not expect Emo Chingyun to be so crazy as to fight him to the death. Bang bang, the situation was too sudden. In Wuzhou could not dodge in time and was sent flying along with Emo Chingyun. In Wuzhou was sent flying. He spat out blood and his face turned pale. Then, he looked at Emo Chingyun with fear in his eyes. Although Emo Chingyun's cultivation was not high, his methods were too strange and his fighting style was too crazy. To In Wuzhou, Emo Chingyun was too scary. He was more difficult to deal with than an emperor god. When In Wuzhou stabilized himself, Emo Chingyun also stabilized himself. His face was slightly pale. You are indeed a prospective emperor god. Emo Chingyun steadied himself and calmed his surging blood. He could not help but sigh emotionally. Even though his cultivation has been sealed, his foundation is still there. The power he unleashed with a single strike is actually comparable to a late god king. However, the power of such a punch is still unable to injure me. Since you can't hurt me, I have no choice but to show you no mercy. As soon as Emo Chingyun finished speaking, his figure flashed as he charged toward In Wuzhou again. Seeing Emo Chingyun charging towards him again, In Wuzhou's face twitched. His eyes were filled with fear. He could not stay any longer. Otherwise, he would fail miserably. In Wuzhou wanted to retreat. Without hesitation, he took out a long shuttle. Break! In Wuzhou took out the long shuttle and threw it into the air. Then, a crack appeared in the space in front of him. As soon as the crack appeared, In Wuzhou escaped into it and disappeared from Emo Chingyun's sight. Before In Wuzhou escaped, he did not forget to leave behind a threat. Boy, you ruined my tribe's plan. My tribe will not let you go. You really have a powerful trump card. Emo Chingyun was not surprised by In Wuzhou's escape. He squinted his eyes and said, "If this guy escapes, some of my secrets will be exposed. This will be troublesome." Forget it. Since it has already happened, there is no point in thinking about it. Let's go see how Enchern and the others are doing. With that thought in mind, Emo Chingyun's figure flashed and flew towards Enchern and the others. After a while, Emo Chingyun returned and went to Enchern and the others. Xiang Yun, Xiang Yan, and the others revealed shocked expressions when they saw Emo Chingyun appear. Hurry up and read the latest chapters. Chapter 33-39. Previously, Emo Chingyun had left with the In Wuzhou. Now, he was the only one who had returned. Didn't this mean that Emo Chingyun had gained the upper hand in the fight between the In Wuzhou and Emo Chingyun? You defeated the In Wuzhou? Xiang Yun's pretty face darkened as she looked at Emo Chingyun, who was standing not far away. She questioned him coldly. Emo Chingyun nodded and didn't deny it. She had already guessed that Emo Chingyun had won the fight between the In Wuzhou and Emo Chingyun. However, when she heard Emo Chingyun's admission, Xiang Yun's pretty face was filled with shock. The In Wuzhou had actually lost to Emo Chingyun. The In Wuzhou had a quasi-celestial Dharch cultivation, while Emo Chingyun was only a late-stage Great Celestial. Thus, it was obvious that Emo Chingyun's true fighting strength had reached a certain level. While Xiang Yun was still in shock, the way she looked at Emo Chingyun changed drastically. You were able to defeat the In Wuzhou. This means that your true fighting strength has already reached the standard of a celestial Dharch. This means that the dragon Fate Royal Spirit that escaped must have been hunted down and killed. When we were chasing after you, we clearly sensed the aftermath of the battle. It must have been caused by your fight with the dragon Fate Royal Spirit. Am I right, Mr. Emo? What else do you have to say? Xiang Yan and the others' expressions changed drastically when they heard Xiang Yun's analysis. There was nothing wrong with Xiang Yun's analysis. There was an 80 to 90% chance that it was correct. The dragon Fate Royal Spirit had definitely been hunted down and killed by Mo Qingyun. Mr. Mo, is Xiang Yun right? Xiang Yan asked coldly as she stared at Mo Qingyun. Is it important whether it is or not? Under everyone's gazes, Mo Qingyun had an indifferent expression as he asked the question in return. Before anyone could answer, Mo Qingyun added, Princess Xiang Yan, let me ask you something. If Palace Master Xiang Yun's analysis is right and the dragon Fate Royal Spirit is really on me, do you have any way of taking it away? Xiang Yan was silent. If Xiang Yun's analysis was right, then Mo Qingyun's true fighting strength had reached the level of a celestial larch. Given Mo Qingyun's strength, even if she and Xiang Yun teamed up, they wouldn't stand a chance. Mo Qingyun smiled playfully when he saw Xiang Yan was silent. He turned to Xiang Yun and he said, Princess, I've really underestimated your guts. You are willing to pay any price to obtain the throne. Mo Qingyun's words made Xiang Yun flustered, but she was also puzzled. She had a vague feeling that Mo Qingyun had discovered something that could be used against her, but she didn't know what it was. Xiang Yun gulped and her face tensed up. She said nervously, What? What are you talking about? I don't understand. Also, stop spouting nonsense. Don't try to sow discord between me and Sister Xiang Yun so that you can defeat us one by one. Xiang Yun's answer surprised Mo Qingyun, and some doubts arose in his heart. Based on her reaction, it seemed like she didn't know about Yin Wuzhou's true identity. Although he was suspicious, Mo Qingyun didn't think too much about it. Do you know that I found out about Yin Wuzhou's background when I defeated him? Do you know what kind of trouble you've caused by asking Yin Wuzhou to help you obtain the throne? Xiang Yun's beautiful eyes trembled when she heard Mo Qingyun's question. She was clearly shocked. Then, she looked at Luo Qinsha, who was standing beside her. She wanted him to give her an answer. Luo Qinsha's face twitched when he saw Xiang Yun looking at him. He looked a little flustered. Clearly, he knew very well about Yin Wuzhou's true identity. Mo Qingyun had a rough idea of what was going on when he saw Xiang Yun and Luo Qinsha's reaction. Luo Qinsha wasn't an ordinary person after all. After a brief moment of panic, he regained his composure. Mr. Mo, what do I have to do for you to help me keep this secret? Luo Qinsha asked Mo Qingyun directly after he regained his composure. He was thinking about how to keep this secret. He knew that Mo Qingyun hadn't said it directly because he didn't want to meddle in other people's business. Since that was the case, there was still room for negotiation. He just had to pay a price. Xiang Yun looked at Mo Qingyun nervously when she heard Luo Qinsha's question. His thoughts were exactly the same as Luo Qinsha's at this moment. Mo Qingyun was very satisfied with Xiang Yun and Luo Qinsha's attitude. It seemed that the two of them were tactful people, which saved him a lot of trouble. Whatever secrets Xiang Yun and Luo Qinsha had, it didn't affect him. At the very least, that was the case at this stage. Mo Qingyun thought for a moment and said, My request is very simple. Xiang Yun will hand over the imperial fate and dragon qi in her body, and this matter will be over. As for Mr. Luo Qinsha, help me collect some cultivation materials within half a year. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he took out an animal skin scroll and quickly wrote down a list of cultivation resources. After writing down the required cultivation resources, Mo Qingyun tossed the animal skin scroll to Luo Qinsha. Luo Qinsha's face darkened when he caught the animal skin scroll. He was enraged. The cultivation resources that Mo Qingyun had written down were all extremely rare. Luo Qinsha gritted his teeth and said angrily, Aren't you afraid that I will leave with my men after leaving the Emperor's mausoleum and go back on my promise? No, you won't do that. I'm not afraid of you doing that. Emo Qingyun shook his head in response to Luo Qinsha's words and said, if you do that, your evil Ice Bat clan will be hated by everyone in the Heaven Domain. You have to be clear about the strength of your clan. It's not something that their clan can compare to. It's not a good deal to sacrifice your entire clan for some cultivation resources. Luo Qinsha was so angry that his body trembled when he heard Emo Qingyun's words. He clenched his fists and said, Are you threatening me? You can think of it that way. Emo Qingyun didn't deny it and answered casually. Luo Qinsha's face turned even uglier when he saw Emo Qingyun's attitude. He said angrily, You win. I admit defeat this time. But remember, it's not easy to take our clan's things. I hope you won't spit them out after you take them. Emo Qingyun didn't care about Luo Qinsha's warning at all. He said, Thank you for your kind reminder. But this is my business. You don't have to worry about it. After reaching an agreement with Emo Qingyun, Luo Qinsha didn't want to stay any longer. He said goodbye to Xiang Yun and left. Seeing Luo Qinsha leave, Xiang Yun panicked and acted a little flustered. Seeing Xiang Yun's reaction, Emo Qingyun smiled and said, Princess Xiang Yun, it's getting late. Give me the Imperial Dragon's fate so that we can leave early. Xiang Yun was unwilling to accept Emo Qingyun's urging, but she still handed over the Imperial Dragon's fate. She knew that compared to the succession of the throne, it was more important to keep this secret. Wonderful Book House. Chapter 3340. Mr. Emo, I can give you the Imperial Dragon fate. I hope you will keep your promise. After handing the Imperial Dragon fate to Emo Qingyun, Xiang Yun didn't forget to warn him. She forcefully suppressed the anger in her heart. Xiang Yun held it in for a while, but in the end she couldn't hold it in anymore. She glared at Emo Qingyun and said coldly, You ruined the succession of the throne. Of course, I'm unlucky that I'm not strong enough. But if you don't keep your word, I won't let it go easily no matter how noble and powerful you are. I will fight you to the death. Emo Qingyun didn't care about Xiang Yun's bad attitude at all. He chuckled and said, Princess Xiang Yun, don't worry. I, Emo Qingyun, always keep my word. I don't like to break my promise. After receiving Emo Qingyun's answer, Xiang Yun didn't say anything else and left with her people. Looking at Xiang Yun's behavior, Xiang Yan's pretty face was immediately filled with shock. Of course, while Xiang Yan was shocked, she was also curious. What did Emo Qingyun discover that made Xiang Yun so afraid? Filled with intense curiosity, Xiang Yan walked over and asked, Young Master Emo, what secret did you discover to actually make her so fearful? Emo Qingyun didn't answer Princess Xiang Yan's question. He glanced at her and smiled. Princess Xiang Yan, I'll take all of Princess Xiang Yun's imperial fate and dragon chi. Give me yours too. Now that you can't fight for the succession of the throne, there's no point in keeping the imperial dragon fate. Why don't you do me a favor? Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, the corner of Xiang Yan's eyes twitched and a trace of shock appeared in her eyes. She didn't expect Emo Qingyun to be unwilling to let go of her imperial dragon fate. Before Incense Nightmare could give an answer, a middle-aged man by her side had a dark expression as he said coldly, Young Master Emo, what difference is there between doing this and burning the bridge after crossing the river and getting rid of the donkey after it's done? Just now we were working together to deal with Princess Xiang Yun. Now you're attacking us. Isn't that a bit too much? Hearing this person's accusation, Emo Qingyun chuckled and said, You also said that it was a collaboration. Now that the collaboration is over, we naturally have to see who is better. Furthermore, I am not directly attacking you right now. Instead, I am discussing with Princess Xiang Yan. I am already being very considerate. Emo Qingyun's attitude infuriated this person. He gnashed his teeth and said, You? However, before he could say anything, Xiang Yan took out the Imperial Fate Dragon Chi. Handing the Imperial Dragon Chi to Emo Qingyun, Xiang Yan flashed a beautiful smile and said, "Mr. Emo, I have no complaints about losing to you this time. If I hadn't experienced it myself, I wouldn't have believed that we would all fall into your hand." Emo Qingyun took the Imperial Dragon Chi and chuckled at Xiang Yan. He didn't reply to her. Seeing that everything was settled, Emo Qingyun didn't want to waste any more time. He said, "Since the matter is settled, let's leave." As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he walked in front of everyone and walked out of the Imperial Mausoleum. Seeing this, Xiang Xiong and the others followed closely and left the Imperial Mausoleum together. Outside the Imperial Mausoleum, not long after Xiang Yan and the others came out, Emo Qingyun and the others also came out. As soon as Emo Qingyun and the others came out, they heard a cold voice. "Which one of you is Emo Qingyun? Come with me to see Prince Kongbing immediately." Hearing this voice, everyone was shocked and looked toward the source of the voice. Like everyone else, Emo Qingyun's gaze fell on Deacon Dantai. Before Emo Qingyun could ask anything, the Kongxiang dynasty's minister walked out from Deacon Dantai's side and said, "Mr. Emo, this is Deacon Dantai from the Royal Sacred Ground. He came with Prince Kongbing this time. A few days ago, Prince Kongbing came with a few deacons. It seems that they are here to pass on the Royal Sacred Ground's decree. Prince Kongbing is still waiting in the palace. We have been delayed for a few days. Let's hurry over." When the minister spoke, he was obviously panicking. He was afraid of offending either side. However, it was understandable. After all, with his status, he couldn't afford to offend either side. "Prince Kongbing?" Hearing the minister's words, Emo Qingyun's brows furrowed slightly as surprise rose in his heart. In his opinion, the person who came to pass on the message should be Kong Xianin and the other ladies. Before Emo Qingyun could ask anything, Deacon Dantai became impatient and urged, "Prince Kongbing is still in the palace. Don't waste time. Come with me to the palace immediately." Emo Qingyun chose to ignore Deacon Dantai's urging and said, "Why is it Prince Kongbing who came to pass on the message? Why aren't Kong Xianin and the other ladies here?" Deacon Dantai was even more displeased when he heard Emo Qingyun's words and saw that Emo Qingyun didn't intend to fight. He said, "The princesses are busy and can't come to pass on the message. So Prince Kongbing will do it on their behalf. Moreover, with your status, Prince Kongbing is already doing you a favor by coming to pass on the message. Alright, let's talk later. Come with me to the palace to see Prince Kongbing." Seeing Deacon Dantai's attitude, Anchun and Ao Lai were furious and wanted to teach him a lesson. However, seeing the hint in Emo Qingyun's eyes, they suppressed their anger. After guessing the situation, Emo Qingyun gestured to Deacon Dantai and said, "Since that's the case, let's not waste any more time. Lead the way." "Lead the way? Me?" Deacon Dantai was stunned when he heard Emo Qingyun's words. A hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. Emo Qingyun was asking him to lead the way? To him, this could be said to be a kind of humiliation. "Deacon Dantai, please follow me. I'll lead the way." The minister who came with Deacon Dantai was very perceptive. He immediately stepped forward to smooth things over. Deacon Dantai's expression improved when he saw the minister's action. He followed the minister and set off. "Let's follow." Seeing Deacon Fentai and the other deacons set off, Emo Qingyun immediately followed them. Xiang Yun, Xiang Yan, and the others didn't stay behind when they saw Emo Qingyun and the others set off. They also set off. Since the test was over, there was no point for them to stay. Several hours later, Emo Qingyun and the others returned to the palace. Everyone went straight to the conference hall. When everyone returned to the imperial capital, Xiang Lingyi sent someone to tell everyone to gather at the conference hall. Soon, everyone arrived at the conference hall and saw Xiang Lingyi, Prince Kongbing, and the others. What surprised everyone was that at this moment, Xianfu was actually chatting and laughing with a young man, and her actions were rather ambiguous. Seeing this, everyone immediately guessed the young man's identity. He should be Prince Kongbing's disciple. When everyone guessed Prince Kongbing's identity, he looked at Emo Qingyun with intense hostility. Chapter 33-41. Are you Emo Qingyun? After sizing up Emo Qingyun a few times, Kongxi questioned in a displeased tone. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, that's right. Emo Qingyun nodded in response. It seems that you are Kongxi's disciple. What did Elder Kong Lanjue say? When are we going to the royal sacred land? Feeling Kongxi's hostility, Emo Qingyun didn't waste time talking nonsense and directly asked for Kongxi's intentions. In Emo Qingyun's view, Kongxi came to him just to pass on a message. A messenger wanted to give him a hard time, so he obviously wouldn't compromise. Emo Qingyun's strong attitude immediately made Kongxi very unhappy. He originally thought that with his identity as the imperial prince, Emo Qingyun should be very reserved when seeing him. Who knew that Emo Qingyun stood in front of him without the slightest restraint or panic? Instead, he had a proud attitude. This situation was not what he wanted to see, nor was it something he could accept. Sensing Kongxi's displeasure, a deacon next to him walked out with a dark face and shouted, "Impudent! How dare you not salute Imperial Prince Kongxi? Is this the attitude you should have when speaking to the Imperial Prince?" Emo Qingyun didn't care about this person's reprimand at all, as if he didn't exist. A mere Imperial Prince wanted to use this identity to suppress him? This was simply a joke. If he went to the Dark Heaven Holy Clan, he would at least be conferred the identity of a prince, which was much higher than Kongxi's status. In this way, why would he need to bow and scrape in front of Kongxi? Seeing Emo Qingyun unmoved, the deacon next to him also had an ugly expression and urged, "Humph! Kneel down and admit your mistake, and beg the imperial prince to spare you this time." Seeing the attitude of the two deacons, Anchern and Ao Lai's faces turned cold, and strong anger appeared on their faces. Who were these two? How dare they order Emo Qingyun around? They were really tired of living. Just as Anchern and Ao Lai were about to get angry, Emo Qingyun's face turned cold, and he turned to look at Kongxi. From the moment he saw this guy, he had been swaggering around with an insufferably arrogant attitude. Emo Qingyun simply glanced at the deacon before withdrawing his gaze. He waved his hand at Anchern and the other two and said, "This fly is too much of an eyesore here. Drag him out and break his legs while you're at it. Make him kneel outside the hall and reflect on his actions. If he dares to disobey, then we'll beat him." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Anchern and Lai immediately nodded and Ao Lai and said, "Yes." When Andan and the other two responded, they appeared together and launched their attacks against Collapse Platform. Bang bang! Anchern and Anchen's attacks were too swift and sudden, and before Collapsing Platform could react, he was blasted flying out of the hall. Seeing this scene, everyone Qingyun's people is? Lie. Is translation is how is? Way translation? You, seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, even someone as calm as Kongxi was greatly shocked at this moment. At the same time, his impression of Emo Qingyun had changed, and he unconsciously felt some fear. In his opinion, since Emo Qingyun dared to act so decisively, it seemed that he really had some background. Emo Qingyun didn't care about Kongxi's anger at all. He asked indifferently, "You came to the Sky Fragrance Dynasty to find me. Is this your own idea or Elder Kong Lanyue's? Also, is your attitude towards me the way the sacred clan of Kongxian Heaven treats their guests?" Emo Qingyun's questioning made Kongxi's expression twitch, and he couldn't help but feel a little guilty. He came to the Sky Fragrance Dynasty this time only because Kong Xianin and the other women weren't free, so he had to pass on a message for them. However, when he learned that Emo Qingyun's cultivation was only at the great divinity stage, he underestimated him a little. Later, when he saw Xianfu, he developed some hostility towards Emo Qingyun and wanted to take the opportunity to show his strength. He didn't expect that Emo Qingyun would not panic in the face of his show of strength. Instead, he made a strong counterattack. For a while, he was riding a tiger and couldn't get off. He didn't know how to deal with it. Kangxi was speechless for a moment before he raised his head and said, Is it my idea or the elder's idea? What's the difference? Also, it's not up to you to tell me what to do." Listening to Kangxi's answer, he understood the general situation in his heart. Immediately, Emo Qingyun's gaze turned even colder as he looked at Kangxi. "It seems that this is your personal decision. Since that's the case, I'll tell you what the difference is between your will and the elder's will." As soon as Emo Qingyun's words fell, he raised his hand and summoned 5 specters. When the 5 specters were summoned, they emitted a terrifying aura that enveloped Kangxi's body. Seeing Emo Qingyun's action, the surrounding people were stunned. Emo Qingyun's posture seemed to indicate that he was going to attack Kangxi. Although Kangxi's attitude was rude, if Emo Qingyun attacked him, it wouldn't end well. When Xiang Lingyi thought of this, a worried expression appeared on her face. She hurriedly persuaded Emo Qingyun, "Mr. Emo, please calm down. You can sit down and talk about the matter between you and Crown Prince Kangxi." Xiang Lingyi was in a difficult position. At the same time, she was very afraid. Both Emo Qingyun and Kangxi were extraordinary. If something happened to either of them, she wouldn't be able to explain it to the imperial bloodline sacred land. When he heard Xiang Lingyi's persuasion, Emo Qingyun shook his head at her and said, "Empress Xiang Lingyi, don't get involved in this matter. Let us settle it ourselves. As for the next trouble, I'll deal with it personally. It won't involve Kong Xiang dynasty." Emo Qingyun's assurance eased Xiang Lingyi's worries. Xiang Lingyi thought for a moment and prepared to persuade him again. But, however, she was interrupted by Kangxi before she could finish her sentence. "Kid, do you really think you can be so arrogant just because you control a few specters?" Seeing Emo Qingyun belittling him again and again, Kangxi was furious. He shouted at the elders beside him, "Deacon I Ching, Deacon Yang Ling, all of you go and take this kid down." When they heard Kangxi's order, the 2 elders beside him immediately pounced on Emo Qingyun. Soon after, the 2 old men stood together with the demon god, and a terrifying divine power erupted from them. Seeing this, Xiang Lingyi's pretty face tensed up. She immediately activated the Grand Formation in the main hall. As the Grand Formation in the main hall was activated, the sounds of the battle were isolated. Seeing this, Emo Qingyun smirked and said, "The space here is too small. There's no way to use it. Let's go out and fight." As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, his figure flashed and flew out of the main hall. Seeing Emo Qingyun's action, Kangxi didn't hesitate and immediately followed him out. Chapter 33-42. Not long after, everyone left the main hall and stood in midair. 8_9_9_9_X looking at Emo Qingyun, not far away, Hollowbrook revealed a smug smile and said, "Emo Qingyun, your followers and demons are all entangled. I want to see what you have to fight me." Looking at Emo Qingyun and Kongbing, who were confronting each other in midair, Xianfu's pretty face lit up. She pretended to be sympathetic and tried to persuade Kongbing. "Prince Kongbing, no matter what, Mr. Emo is still a guest. When you attack him later, remember to be merciful so that you don't accidentally injure him. You don't have to answer to the elders of the royal bloodline Holy Land." Hearing Xianfu's words, Kong Ling smiled proudly and said, "Emo Qingyun, consider yourself lucky that Princess Xianfu is pleading for you. Now I'll give you a chance. If you obediently kowtow and admit your guilt, I'll spare you this time. Otherwise, if I were to act, it would no longer be a mistake." Emo Qingyun felt a wave of disdain when he heard Xianfu and Kong Bing's word. He said, "There's no need to beg for mercy. You can't do anything to me. I've seen a lot of people like you. In order to please a woman, you trample on others, but you've all made the same mistake. That is, you don't understand the other party's situation. It just so happens that I have nothing to do right now. I'll play with you and see the strength of the Emperor of the profound Heaven Holy Clan." When Emo Qingyun said this, it could be said that he had given up on reconciliation and was determined to fight Kong Bing. Seeing Emo Qingyun's attitude, Xianfu's pretty face was slightly shocked, and she instinctively felt a little uneasy. From her brief contact with Emo Qingyun, she knew that Emo Qingyun wasn't a person who spoke empty words. Since Emo Qingyun said so, he must have something to rely on. Now that Kong Shi was fighting with Emo Qingyun, could she really gain the upper hand? While Fragrant Lotus was worried, Fragrant Nightmare and the other girls revealed expressions of anticipation. Xianfu thinks that she can fight with Emo Qingyun just because she has a prince. She's too naive. In my opinion, Xianfu won't be the only one at a disadvantage. Prince Kong Ling will also be at a disadvantage. We didn't see how Emo Qingyun captured the Dragon Fate Royal Spirit. Now we're seeing his trump card. The girls exchanged a few words and looked expectantly at the sky. As they spoke, Emo Qingyun and Kong Shi both moved to engage in a fierce battle. Purple Crystal Thunder Tyrant Body. Purple Thunder Bloodline. Dark Creation Bloodline. Absolute Beginning. Dark. Emo Qingyun used all of his strength right from the start. He activated his constitution and bloodline power to suppress Kong Shi. Bloodline. S. 2. With my bloodline and constitution suppressed, I can only use 90% of my strength. However, even if I can only use 10% of my strength, it's more than enough to deal with a great celestial ant. Mysterious Immortal Void Palm. Kong Ling flipped his palm and frantic divine power gathered and turned into a huge palm shadow. When the palm shadow blasted out, close to 10,000 sharp nomological law threads quickly merged with it. 30% of my strength is enough to deal with you. As soon as Kong Shi struck out with his palm, he used a contemptuous tone to say these arrogant words. Emo Qingyun wasn't afraid of Kong Ling's attack. He replied calmly, "It's not good to be overconfident before the results are out. Perhaps you might not be a match for me even if you use your full strength." Divine Thunder Dragon Wave. Emo Qingyun didn't hesitate in the slightest as he spoke. He clenched his fists tightly and a surge of lightning divine power gathered, releasing a dazzling silver light. Soon, a huge lightning dragon blasted out from Emo Qingyun's fist. As the lightning dragon blasted out, the imposing nomological law threads quickly merged with it. Carefully speaking, the number of nomological law threads merged with the lightning dragon was only about 5,000. Only 5,000 nomological law thread. Seeing the number of nomological law threads Emo Qingyun activated, Kong Ling smiled disdainfully. "It turns out that you're only at this level. It seems that you dare to compete with me because you rely on those demon gods. With your late-stage great celestial cultivation base, you can only condense 5,000 nomological law threads. Your talent doesn't seem to be very good. You're valued by Elder Kong Lanyue. Don't tell me it's because of your face? If so, you're just a guy who relies on women." At this moment, while Kong Ling was mocking Emo Qingyun, the lightning dragon collided with the palm. Boom! A loud noise came out. Then, the palm that blasted towards Emo Qingyun was blocked by the lightning dragon. After blocking the palm in midair, the lightning dragon frantically waved its dragon claws and bombarded the palm. Asterisk ka ka ka. Asterisk under the bombardment of the lightning dragon, the palm began to disintegrate rapidly, as if it couldn't withstand the heavy blow. Seeing such a scene, Kong Ling's expression twitched and strong shock emerged in his eyes. How is this possible? Your divine ability and mine are of the same grade. Your divine power is not as strong as mine. The number of nomological law threads you condensed is also not as many as mine. How can you defeat my divine ability? The situation at this moment was far beyond Kong Ling's expectations and was somewhat difficult for him to accept. Compared to Kong Ling's shock, Mo Qingyun was very indifferent. Although the number of nomological law threads I have is not as many as yours, my nomological law threads are larger, longer, and thicker than yours. Naturally, they are more powerful. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Kongxi finally reacted and realized the difference between the two. The volume of Mo Qingyun's single nomological law thread was equivalent to several of his nomological law threads stacked together. Thinking of this, Kong Ling's face darkened and he angrily said, "Even if your nomological law threads are stronger, the number of nomological law threads you have is limited. In the end, you can't change the outcome." Sky extinguishing palm. As soon as Kong Ling finished speaking, he attacked again and condensed an even stronger divine power. At the same time, the number of nomological law threads he conjured this time was much greater than before. Before long, a huge palm that filled the sky came crashing down on Mo Qingyun. 20,000 nomological law threads. Mo Qingyun counted the number of nomological law threads as he watched Kong Ling attack this time. His smile deepened as he said, "An attack of this level can't defeat me." Although Mo Qingyun was retaliating verbally, his hands didn't hesitate in the slightest. Soon, a huge lightning dragon blasted out of Mo Qingyun's fist. As the lightning dragon blasted out, huge nomological law threads quickly merged into it. 8,000. When he saw the nomological law threads Mo Qingyun had condensed, Kong Ling's eyes twitched and a trace of shock appeared in his eyes. Thinking back to Mo Qingyun's performance just now, he had guessed that Mo Qingyun had been holding back. He hadn't expected that Mo Qingyun had hidden so many. Soon after, his expression tensed up as he felt a sense of pressure. Chapter 33-43. Very quickly, Kongxi's palm shadows were once again destroyed by the lightning dragon. Kongxi's expression tensed up when he saw this. He felt threatened by Mo Qingyun. At this moment, he realized that he had underestimated Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun's battle prowess had already reached the Divine King grade. More importantly, Mo Qingyun had appeared to be very relaxed in the few confrontations he had with him. It was obvious that Mo Qingyun hadn't used his full battle prowess. He was still hiding a part of his strength. Under Kongxi's shocked gaze, Mo Qingyun said in a lazy tone, "You only put in a little bit of strength each time. It's really boring. I don't have much time to waste here with you. If you don't use your full strength next, I'm going to counterattack." When Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he placed his hands behind his back and looked arrogantly at Kongxi. Even Xiang Lingyi couldn't help but change her expression when she saw Mo Qingyun's performance. It seems like Mr. Mo is still hiding his battle prowess. I wonder how much he's holding back. When Xiang Lingyi thought of this, she looked at Kongxi and couldn't help but feel a little worried about him. Under normal circumstances, it should have been very easy for Kongxi, who was a late God King, to deal with Mo Qingyun, who was a late God King. However, Xiang Lingyi couldn't help but worry for Kongxi. She felt that he was going to suffer a great loss. What an arrogant fellow! Kongxi gritted his teeth in anger when he saw Mo Qingyun's attitude. "You asked for it. If you accidentally die at my hands, you can only blame yourself." As he spoke, Kongxi's aura changed. If Kongxi had been a vicious wolf before, he was now a ferocious tiger. At the same time, strands of nomological law appeared around Kongxi's body. Over 37,000 strands of nomological law. Mo Qingyun narrowed his eyes when he saw the number of threads of law Empyrean Brook had activated, a hint of surprise appearing in his eyes. Close to 40,000 law thread. To ordinary great deity realm cultivators, it's definitely an existence I can't defeat. Fortunately, Mo Qingyun was different from ordinary people. His law threads were long and thick, and the power of one was comparable to several others. The power of my law threads is much stronger than ordinary people's. Now that I've condensed 15,000, it's roughly equivalent to 50,000 for others. It should be enough to deal with Sky Ripper. With Mo Qingyun's calculation, the worry in his heart immediately lessened to the extreme. If one really wanted to calculate, the power of his law threads was above empty brooks. If that was the case, it would be hard to say who would emerge victorious in the upcoming battle against Kong Shi. Void Silence Heaven-Destroying Palm. After activating the law thread, Empty Babel didn't waste any more words. Instead, he sent a palm strike towards Mo Qingyun. With a wave of his palm, violent divine power poured out and turned into a huge palm shadow. As the palm shadow blasted out, more than 37,000 law threads quickly rushed into it, causing the aura of the palm shadow to skyrocket. Very strong. Sensing the aura of the palm shadow, Mo Qingyun's expression was slightly surprised. Even an ordinary late-stage Divine King expert would choose to avoid the power of Empty Babel's palm strike. Dark Demonic Dragon Devouring Roar. Facing Empty Babel's palm strike, Mo Qingyun didn't dare to be careless and immediately blocked it. Mo Qingyun quickly formed a hand seal, condensing an even stronger divine power and turning it into a huge black dragon shadow. Roar. When the black dragon shadow formed, it roared towards the sky and erupted with a dragon's might. When the black dragon shadow formed, law threads appeared around Mo Qingyun's body. Although the number wasn't as many as Empty Babel's, it still reached 15,000, and its power was much stronger than Empty Babel's. 15,000 nomological threads. Seeing the law threads condensed by Mo Qingyun, Xiang Lingyi was shocked and found it hard to believe. She said, "An ordinary late-stage Great Celestial can only condense about 6,000 to 7,000 law threads at most. He actually condensed 15,000 law thread. This cultivation talent is too terrifying. No wonder the elders of the royal bloodline Holy Land value him so highly." At this moment, Xiang Lingyi's doubts seemed to have a clear answer. Looking at the law threads condensed by Mo Qingyun, Xiang Fu's face was also filled with shock. She said, "No, this can't be true. No matter how high his talent is, it's impossible to break the iron law of cultivation. If the number of law threads exceeds 10,000, one will advance to the heavenly celestial realm. Why is he still a great celestial?" Xiang Fu's shocked words quickly reached the ears of Xiang Yan and the other ladies, making them feel disdain. Xiang Fu is really pitiful. She has already suffered, but she still doesn't learn her lesson. If it was an ordinary person, it wouldn't be hard for Kong Shi to deal with them. But against Mo Qingyun, this time, if Skyripper fails, she'll probably vent her anger on Xianfu. Sigh. Xiang Qingyi and the other girls all sighed, showing different thoughts. While the girls were talking, the black dragon collided with the giant palm and crazily bombarded it. Bang bang bang. Every time the black dragon swung its claws, there would be a loud explosion and a mark would be left on the palm. 3131. In just a short moment, cracks appeared on the giant palm, as if it was about to collapse. Seeing this scene, Kong Shi's expression trembled, and the shock in his eyes deepened. As soon as she thought about the possibility of being defeated by Mo Qingyun, Kong Shi began to panic. She said in a panic, Impossible! I'm a late god king. How can I be defeated by a great god?" "You want to defeat me? Dream on. No matter how many trump cards you have, no matter how great your talent is, the difference in cultivation is right here. You can't defeat me." Hearing Kong Shi's words and seeing how flustered he was, Mo Qingyun shook his head with a faint smile. He said, "Originally, I was indeed a little afraid of your cultivation. But now I'm not afraid at all. If I've guessed correctly, your late God King cultivation probably didn't come from your own cultivation, but from a pile of cultivation resources. To be honest, even if I defeat a piece of trash like you, I won't feel any sense of accomplishment. In my eyes, apart from having a slightly better life and being born as an emperor, you're a pile of dog shit. Emo Qingyun's words were not polite at all. Not only that, but Emo Qingyun's attacks didn't weaken in the slightest as he spoke. Break! Emo Qingyun roared. The black dragon that was connected to his mind twisted its body wildly. Following that, the black dragon's 4 claws slammed into the giant palm wildly. Then, everyone saw the giant palm disintegrate in an instant. After destroying the palm, the black dragon's attacks did not stop at all. It continued to lunge at Kong Shi. Chapter 33-44. Seeing the black dragon descend, Empty Babe's expression changed drastically, and she became even more panicked. 8_9_9_9_com_x Kong Shi panicked and wanted to retreat, not daring to continue fighting Emo Qingyun. The more he fought with Emo Qingyun, the more he felt his heart palpitate, and the more he realized how strange and terrifying Emo Qingyun was. He was clearly only at the late-stage Great Deity realm, but his strength had reached the God King realm. This was too monstrous. Trash! Emo Qingyun showed disdain when he saw Kong Ling's actions. He called out coldly, "You're a mighty late God King, yet you actually want to retreat when you're facing me, a great god. What a piece of trash. With your state of mind, you won't be able to become an expert even if you reach the hierarch realm." As Emo Qingyun spoke, an 8-winged Pegasus materialized beneath him. Emo Qingyun used the Taisher Soaring Dragon Horse transformation technique and rode the 8-winged Divine Force Pegasus to chase after Kong Shi. Emo Qingyun's figure flashed as he caught up with Kong Shi, blocking his path. Divine Thunder Dragon Transformation Wave. Arriving in front of Kong Shi, Emo Qingyun didn't speak any nonsense and directly attacked him. As Emo Qingyun swung his fist, a terrifying thunder divine power instantly erupted from his fist. Soon after, the imposing divine power of lightning transformed into a huge black dragon. Once the divine power thunder dragon was formed, it fused with 15,000 precept threads and attacked Kong Shi. Seeing the lightning dragon attack, Sky Babe's expression immediately changed to one of shock. He was scared out of his wits. At this moment, there was a lightning dragon blocking his path and a black figure pursuing him from behind. It was as if he had fallen into a desperate situation. Empty Babe screamed and charged at the lightning dragon as if he had gone mad. Break! In his madness, Kong Shi's aura rose to a whole new level. Immediately after, the battle prowess he displayed increased by quite a bit. Silent Sky Shattering Palm. With a flip of his palm, an even stronger divine power than before erupted from his palm. Then, a giant palm emitting a mysterious aura flew out from Kong Shi's palm. Bang! In the face of the lightning dragon's attack, the giant palm was like an inescapable net that directly enveloped him. Blocked by the giant palm, the thunder dragon twisted its body wildly and violently bombarded the giant palm. For a moment, under the obstruction of the giant palm, the lightning dragon was actually unable to advance an inch. I didn't expect that you would be forced to reveal some of your potential under such intense danger. Seeing Kong Bing's reaction, Emo Qingyun's lips curled up slightly. He looked like he was toying with his prey. If that's the case, I'll help you again. Let's see if you can stimulate some more of your potential. As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, his figure flashed as he launched another attack at Kong Shi. Emo Qingyun attacked again, and his attacks were clearly stronger than before. Not only that, but Emo Qingyun's attack speed also became faster. Faced with Emo Qingyun's stormy Silent Sky Shattering Palm, Kong Shi actually felt dazzled and became even more helpless. If one had been on guard for a long time, there was bound to be a careless mistake. Bang! After blocking dozens of Mo Qingyun's attacks, Kong Shi finally made a mistake and was sent flying by Mo Qingyun's punch. Kong Shi's cultivation had been raised by taking pills, so he had not tempered his body. His body was only at the sky god realm. With the strength of his body, it was easy to imagine what would happen if he was hit by Mo Qingyun's attack. Crack! As Kong Shi was sent flying, the crisp sound of bones breaking rang out. A part of his chest had caved in. Unsurprisingly, under Mo Qingyun's punch, several of Kong Shi's chest bones had broken. Mo Qingyun did not stop after his successful attack. He continued to chase after Kong Shi. Kong Shi was no match for Mo Qingyun even at his peak state, let alone now that he was injured. Bang! 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 Next, everyone saw Kong Shi being sent flying like a rubber ball while Mo Qingyun was sent flying in all directions. Seeing this, Xiang Lingyi couldn't bear it and hurriedly said, "Mr. Mo, you still have to go to the royal sacred land. If you injure him, I'm afraid it will cause a lot of trouble. Furthermore, there will be many opportunities to meet him in the royal sacred land in the future. It's not necessarily a good choice to make things worse now." Xiang Lingyi's persuasion made Mo Qingyun's attacks slow down a little. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had slowed down his attacks, Kong Shi's face darkened and he said, How dare you injure me? Wait until we reach the royal sacred land. I'll teach you a lesson." Hearing Kong Shi's words, Mo Qingyun shook his head helplessly and said, "Empress Xiang Lingyi, it's not that I don't want to give you face. It's just that this guy is asking for a beating. I was already prepared to let him go, but he just had to provoke me. You can't blame me for this. To be honest, I prefer to use my fists rather than reason with him. It's more effective that way." After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, his attacks immediately became fierce again. Kong Shi, who had just calmed down, became Mo Qingyun's target again. He was sent flying in the air. Seeing Kong Shi's miserable state, Xiang Lingyi could not bear to see it. However, she did not say anything. Mo Qingyun might have given her face once, but he might not give her face a second time. If she continued to persuade and stop him, Mo Qingyun might hold a grudge against her because of this. Now that she had offended Kong Shi, she could not afford to offend Mo Qingyun too. Bang! While Xiang Lingyi was hesitating, Kong Shi was sent flying again. He crashed heavily into the ground. When Kong Shi fell to the ground, Mo Qingyun's body flashed and he stepped on Kong Shi's head. Bang! Under Mo Qingyun's foot, Kong Shi's head was buried in the ground. His body was on the ground. After stepping on Kong Shi's head, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, "It seems like your potential has been stimulated. There's no way to tap into it anymore." After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he kicked Kong Shi and sent him flying. After Kong Shi was sent flying by Mo Qingyun, he stood up shakily and looked at Mo Qingyun viciously. "Brat, you've got guts. I'll remember this. Unless you leave the profound Heaven Sacred Clan immediately, if you dare to come to the royal sacred ground, I'll take my revenge." Mo Qingyun did not care about Kong Shi's actions. He smiled and said, "I'm sorry. I, Mo Qingyun, am not afraid of threats. Since you don't want me to go to the royal sacred ground, I'm going. It's good that you can't travel like this. I'll take you to the royal sacred ground." After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he grabbed Kong Shi like he was grabbing a chicken. Emperor's son. Seeing that Kong Shi was captured, Collapse Platform and the others were shocked. Mo Qingyun did not care about their panic. He smiled faintly and said, "If you want him to be fine, you'd better listen to me." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Bing Tai and the others all stopped attacking, feeling apprehensive. Chapter 33-45. Mo Qingyun, quickly release the Crown Prince. If you hurt the disciple, the consequences will be unimaginable. The Crown Prince is a reserve candidate for the Holy War. If you hurt him, the elders will definitely punish you. The Holy War is related to the future of the Holy Clan in Kong Xiantian. If this matter is ruined, the elders will be furious. Deacon Fantai and the others' faces darkened as they warned and threatened Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun didn't pay much attention to the words of Datai and the others. However, Mo Qingyun's interest was piqued by the Holy War that they spoke of. What is the Holy War? Mo Qingyun asked curiously. Without waiting for Deacon Fantai and the others to reply, Xiang Lingyi walked forward and said, "The Holy War is a competition agreed upon by the major clans of the Heaven Realm. Those who rank high in the Holy War are qualified to enter the ruins outside the realm. The Outer Realm ruins are extremely old. Anyone who can enter will definitely achieve something when they come out. For example, Divine Sovereign Qian Huan of my clan and Divine Sovereign Guimen of the Dark Heaven Holy Clan have both entered the Outer Realm ruins." After hearing Xiang Lingyi's words, Mo Qingyun's eyes lit up. He was even more interested in the Holy War. Then, Mo Qingyun glanced at Kong Shi and asked in a doubtful tone, "With his cultivation, he is qualified to participate?" Mo Qingyun's question made Xiang Lingyi's expression change. She coughed a few times. Mo Qingyun's words were enough to deal a blow to people. Although Kong Shi's strength was a little weak, he was still a late-stage Divine King expert. It was not difficult for him to get a reserve quota. Xiang Lingyi coughed a few times and said, "He only got a reserve quota. Those who get a reserve quota can compete for 10 qualifications to enter the Outer Realm ruins through the elimination battle." After hearing Xiang Lingyi's words, Mo Qingyun understood. "I see." Mo Qingyun had a rough understanding of the Holy War. He did not ask about it. In his opinion, with Xiang Lingyi and the others' status, the information they knew was probably limited. Moreover, with the status of Xiang Lingyi and the others, it was unlikely that they would be able to get him a spot. As such, he might as well go to the royal bloodline Holy Land first and find Kong Lanyue and the others to come up with a solution. Since he has come to pass on a message, I should leave too. Mo Qingyun thought about the sacred war and didn't want to stay any longer. He turned to Xiang Lingyi and said, "Empress Xiang Lingyi, sorry for disturbing you these days. I will remember your hospitality." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Xiang Lingyi was flattered. She waved her hand and said, "Mr. Mo, you're exaggerating. It's just a small matter. This is what we should do." "Yes." Mo Qingyun nodded. He glanced at Xiang Xiong and said, "Empress Xiang Lingyi, I'm going to the Imperial Sacred Ground. Can you announce the results of the Imperial Sacred Ground so that I can leave with the Imperial Dragon Spirit and Imperial Dragon Chi?" Mo Qingyun's request stunned Xiang Lingyi. She couldn't wrap her head around it. But in the next second, Xiang Lingyi understood what Mo Qingyun meant. Everything will be done according to Mr. Mo's instructions. After replying to Mo Qingyun, Xiang Lingyi didn't waste any more time and prepared to evaluate Xiang Xiong and the others. But before Xiang Lingyi could speak, Xiang Yun and Xiang Yan hurriedly said, "There's no need to evaluate. All the Imperial Dragon Chi on us has been taken by Mr. Mo." Hearing Xiang Yan and Xiang Yun's words, Xiang Lingyi was stunned. This result was far beyond her expectations. Xiang Lingyi's face was full of hesitation. She didn't know what to do. Seeing Xiang Lingyi's reaction, Xiang Qingyi guessed what she was thinking. She said, "Empress, Mo Qingyun was hired by Prince Xiong. It's allowed for him to take the Imperial Dragon Chi. Moreover, young Master Mo did not rely on his status to obtain the Imperial Fate and Dragon Chi. He obtained it through his own strength. So, you don't have to worry about the final results of the assessment." After hearing Xiang Qingyi's words, Xiang Lingyi's worries were immediately answered. She said, "If that's the case, the winner of the Imperial Sacred Ground assessment will be Xiang Xiong's." Xiang Xiong was ecstatic when he heard Xiang Lingyi's words. He was so excited that he didn't know what to do. After calming himself down, Xiang Xiong walked over to Emo Qingyun and handed over the Imperial Dragon Qi and Imperial Dragon Spirit. After receiving the Imperial Dragon Qi and Imperial Dragon Spirit, Emo Qingyun smiled with satisfaction. He glanced at everyone and said, "Since everything is settled, I won't stay any longer. Goodbye, everyone." After Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he took out the Shadow Sword boat and prepared to fly to the Imperial Sacred Ground. After taking out the Sword Shadow flying ship, Emo Qingyun grabbed Empty Babe and threw him out like a little chick. Plop! After being thrown by Emo Qingyun, Kong Shi fell into the Shadow Sword boat and made a loud sound. After throwing Kong Shi into the cabin, Emo Qingyun's figure flashed and entered the Shadow Sword boat. Seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, Deacon Fentai and the others looked at each other and followed him. "Guys, lead the way." Fentai and the others just happened to be on the Shadow Sword boat. Emo Qingyun waved at them and gave them instructions. Emo Qingyun's arrangements immediately made Fentai and the others furious. Each and every one of them gnashed their teeth in anger. But due to the situation before them, they still suppressed their anger and led the way obediently. The Sky Fragrance dynasty was not considered far from the Imperial Sacred Ground. Emo Qingyun only used half a month's time to arrive at the Imperial Sacred Ground. Lead the way then. Arriving at the Imperial Sacred Ground, Emo Qingyun did not stand on ceremony with Kong Shi either and directly instructed him. The moment he saw Emo Qingyun's attitude, Kong Shi was immediately angered silly. Emo Qingyun really treated him as a messenger. Humph! Kong Shi snorted coldly. He led the way in front with a fuming appearance. Regarding Kong Shi's displeasure, Emo Qingyun did not care in the slightest and followed him unhurriedly. Seeing Kong Shi return, some people who got the news started to gather around this side. "He's Emo Qingyun? The person recommended by Elder Lan Yu? Just late-stage great deity realm cultivation. Elder Lan Yu thinks too highly of him. These words aren't right. Low cultivation can be cultivated, but high talent can't be changed." A group of people pointed and whispered. Under everyone's pointing and whispering, Emo Qingyun arrived at Kong Lanyue's residence. Seeing Emo Qingyun arrive, Kong Lanyue and the girls all revealed joyful looks and came up to greet Emo Qingyun together. "Greetings, seniors." Walking in front of Kong Lanyue and the girls, Emo Qingyun clasped his hands. Toward Emo Qingyun's salute, Kong Lanyue and the girls waved their hands one after another and said, "No need to be overly courteous, quickly invite inside." Emo Qingyun gave a greeting. He followed the few girls into the house. When Emo Qingyun entered the house, Kong Shi said goodbye, turned around, and directly left. However, before Kong Shi left, he shot a cold glance at Emo Qingyun. Chapter 3346. Little friend Emo, do you have some sort of grudge with Kong Shi? Kong Shi's small actions were not able to escape Kong Lanyue's notice. Her curiosity was piqued. XX_XX_XX_XX_XX_some hearing Kong Lanyue's question, Emo Qingyun didn't hide anything. "When I was in the Kongxiang dynasty, I helped their prince to participate in the battle for the throne. In the process, I seriously injured a princess. Coincidentally, Kong Shi took a fancy to that princess and wanted to teach me a lesson for her. Then, I fought with Empty Babe and taught him a lesson." Listening to Emo Qingyun's story, Kong Lanyue and the other women were all stunned. They never thought that Emo Qingyun would have a grudge with Kong Shi. "You." Looking at Emo Qingyun in front of him, Kong Lanyue couldn't help but sigh. She had to admit that Emo Qingyun's ability to get into trouble and accept things was absolutely top-notch. Kong Lanyue sighed and her expression turned serious. "You don't need to worry too much. I will make a trip to God Emperor Golden Cicada's mansion and explain Kong Shi's matter." "Thank you, senior." Hearing Kong Lanyue's words, Emo Qingyun quickly cupped his hands in thanks. Emo Chingyun thought for a moment and said, Senior, on the way to the royal bloodline Holy Land, I heard people talk about the Holy War. Can you tell me about it? Holy War? Emo Chingyun's question caused Kong Lanyue's expression to change. A trace of surprise appeared in her eyes. The Holy War is a competition designated by the great clans of the heavenly realm. If you obtain an outstanding result in the Holy War, you can enter the ruins outside to explore. Our Profound Heaven Holy Clan has 20 spots to participate. Xianin and Xianyue are preparing to compete for the top 10 spot. With Kong Lanyue's words, Emo Chingyun understood why Kong Xianin and the other women weren't free. As Emo Chingyun realized this, his impression of Kong Shi became even more disdainful. Similarly, Kong Xianyue and the other women were cultivating and preparing for the Holy War, while Kong Shi was running around to pass on a message. With this comparison, it was obvious who was superior. After understanding the Holy War, Emo Chingyun revealed a curious expression and asked, By the way, when I was on my way to the royal bloodline Holy Land, I heard people talking about the 36 princesses and 72 princes. What kind of identity does this represent? Emo Chingyun's question caused Kong Lanyue's expression to change again. He looked at Emo Chingyun in surprise and said, I didn't expect you to have done a lot of investigation on the Profound Heaven Sacred Clan during this time. 36 princesses and 72 princes are the most talented juniors in the Kong Profound Heaven Saint Clan. Kong Shi, who led you here just now, is one of the 72 princes. He seems to be ranked 69th. Xianin and Xianyue are both ranked 7th and 21st out of the 36 princesses. After listening to Kong Lanyue's explanation, the doubts in Emo Chingyun's heart were greatly answered. Emo Chingyun thought for a moment and said, That's right, didn't Senior say that there were a total of 20 spots? Xianin and the others are competing for 10 spots, so where are the other 10 spots? Regarding Emo Chingyun's doubts, Kong Lanyue didn't find it strange. He said, At present, there are a total of 10 saintesses in the clan. The other 10 spots have been given to the other 10 saintesses. Emo Chingyun nodded, the doubts in his heart resolved. After exchanging a few words with Kong Lanyue, Emo Chingyun revealed an expectant expression. He said, Senior, can I also participate in the Holy War qualification struggle? You? Emo Chingyun's request caused Kong Lanyue and the other women to be shocked. They thought they had misheard. Emo Chingyun actually wanted to participate in the Holy War. However, when they thought of Emo Chingyun's talent, they didn't find it strange. Kong Lanyue pondered for a moment and said, I can't give you an answer right away. I need to discuss with the Patriarch to see if he can make an exception for you. In truth, with your talent and potential, you can definitely obtain a spot in the Dark Heaven Holy Clan. It's just that there isn't enough time. Hearing Kong Lanyue's reply, Emo Chingyun revealed a happy smile. He said, Then I'll have to trouble Senior. After speaking with Emo Chingyun about the Holy War, Kong Lanyue revealed a curious expression. He said, Little friend Emo, did you inquire about that old friend of yours? No. Emo Chingyun shook his head. Although he hadn't inquired about Qian Linglong, Emo Chingyun wasn't in a hurry. He was prepared to slowly inquire. Emo Chingyun said, Senior, I won't hide it from you. In fact, the reason I want to participate in the Holy War is because I want to use this channel to increase my fame in the Profound Heaven Holy Clan and let her know that I've come. After listening to Emo Chingyun's idea, Kong Lanyue nodded, expressing his approval of this approach. The Profound Heaven Holy Clan was too large. Wanting to find a single person in it was no different from looking for a needle in a haystack. If Emo Chingyun participated in the Holy War and obtained outstanding results, his fame would definitely soar. At that time, if Emo Chingyun's old friend was in the Profound Heaven Holy Clan, she would definitely know about him. Then, if Emo Chingyun wanted to find his old friend, everything would become much simpler. Understanding Emo Chingyun's thoughts, Kong Lanyue's expression became serious. He said, "Since that's the case, I will do my best to persuade the Patriarch to give you a chance to participate. It's just that whether or not you can obtain a spot will depend on your own ability." Kong Lanyue's words caused Emo Qingyun to rejoice in his heart. He once again expressed his gratitude to Kong Lanyue. For him, having the opportunity to compete for a spot was enough. With his current strength, if he wanted to compete for a spot, he still had a lot of hope. Although with my current cultivation, I have a lot of hope to compete for a spot, I still need to increase my strength. Although Emo Qingyun had great confidence in his own strength, he was not careless because of this. Following this, Emo Qingyun asked Kong Lanyue and the others about the situation of the royal bloodline Holy Land. Several hours later, after listening to Kong Lanyue and the others' explanation, Emo Qingyun had a clear understanding of the rules of the royal bloodline Holy Land. After leaving Kong Lanyue and the others' residence, Emo Qingyun walked towards a courtyard under the guidance of a person. After bringing Emo Qingyun to his residence, the person leading the way left. However, before he left, he glanced at Emo Qingyun a few more times. Emo Qingyun did not pay attention to this person's actions and directly entered the house. Emo Qingyun entered the room. He gave Enchern some instructions before he immersed himself in cultivation. Taking advantage of the fact that there was still some time before the spot competition, he hoped that his cultivation could advance a step further. If his cultivation broke through to the celestial deity realm, his chances would be great. Not long after Emo Qingyun entered seclusion, a group of people arrived outside his courtyard. This group of people arrived. Ignoring Enchern two people's obstruction, they rushed into the courtyard. One look at their posture and one could tell that the arrival was not kind. Chapter 33-47. Get Emo Qingyun out here. Without waiting for Enchern to ask, Kong Bing, who was standing in the crowd, walked out with a dark face. 8_9_9_9_com_x. When Enchern recognized Kong Shi, he chuckled and glanced at him with disdain. Are you itching for a beating again? Do you want Master to teach you a lesson again? Unfortunately, Master doesn't have time to waste on trash like you. Enchern's mocking words made Kong Shi's face darken to the extreme. A servant of Emo Qingyun actually dared to humiliate him. He absolutely could not tolerate it. Immediately after, Kong Shi released his aura, as if he was about to attack. Calm down. Just as Kong Bing was about to attack, a young man beside him stopped him and said, "He's just a servant. There's no need to fight with him. My purpose here today is mainly for Emo Qingyun." Kong Ing nodded and didn't say anything else. He took a step back. The young man moved to stop Kong Shi. He looked towards Emo Qingyun's room and said, "Emo Qingyun, you are in seclusion today. I won't interrupt you. When you come out of seclusion, I hope you'll take the initiative to look for me. Remember my name, Kong Ing." As soon as Kong Ing finished speaking, before Enchern could respond, Emo Qingyun's voice rang out. "If you want to stand up for Kong Ing, there's no need to be in such a hurry. There will be plenty of opportunities later. I will also participate in the Holy War qualification contest in a while. I hope you can meet me there. Of course, if you're eliminated before you meet me, that means you're not qualified to fight me." Emo Qingyun's words caused Kong Ing and the others' expressions to change dramatically. Emo Qingyun actually wanted to participate in the Holy War's qualification battle. Did I hear wrongly? He wants to participate in the Holy War? Isn't he looking for trouble by participating in the Holy War's qualification battle as a great deity? Most importantly, he is not a member of the Profound Heaven Holy Clan. How can he participate in the Holy War qualification battle? The way I see it, he must be trying to use this as an excuse to avoid his battle with Prince Kong Ing. Kong Ying's lackeys exclaimed in surprise. Hearing the words of his followers, Kong Ing felt a little indignant. "Brother Kong Ing, this brat is full of tricks. You must not believe his words. In my opinion, his seclusion must be fake. Let's fight our way in and drag him out to teach him a lesson." Kong Ing shook his head and rejected Kong Bing's suggestion. "There's only half a month left before the start of the Holy War. I can afford to wait." Hearing Kong Ying's words, Kong Shi didn't try to persuade him any further. He understood Sky Eagle's character. Once he had decided on something, it was very difficult to change his mind. At the same time, he could afford to wait for half a month. Kong Ing looked at Emo Qingyun's room again and said, "In that case, I'll wait for you for half a month. I hope you don't play any tricks. Also, let me remind you that even if you're eliminated in advance, you won't be able to avoid a battle with me." Kong Ying's words meant that Emo Qingyun had to fight him. This was to prevent Emo Qingyun from deliberately losing and avoiding a battle with him. "Don't worry, I won't lose before you are eliminated." Emo Qingyun didn't care about Kong Ying's warning at all and responded indifferently. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Kong Ying didn't say anything else and turned to leave the courtyard. Seeing Kong Ying's actions, Kong Bing gritted his teeth and left with him. Kong Ying is much more magnanimous than Kong Bing. It makes sense that magnanimity determines one's success. And Chun and Ao Lai sighed as they watched Kong Ying and the others leave. The two of them muttered a few words to themselves. They didn't idle around and immerse themselves in cultivation. Although they were guarding Emo Qingyun in the courtyard, it wasn't a problem if they didn't wholeheartedly cultivate. In the royal bloodline holy lands of the Kong Profound Heaven Holy Clan, the average person didn't dare to cause trouble. It was even more impossible to assassinate Emo Qingyun. Therefore, they only needed to pay attention to the situation around them. Royal Bloodline Holy Lands, a great hall. After separating from Emo Qingyun, Kong Lanyue didn't delay and immediately went to find the patriarch of the Kong Profound Heaven Holy Clan. When Kong Lanyue arrived at the Great Hall, he saw a middle-aged woman talking with a young girl. The young girl's appearance was beautiful and her temperament was otherworldly, like a celestial immortal in a painting. However, there was a touch of sadness between her eyebrows as well as a strong longing. Looking at the young girl in front of him, Kong Lanyue sighed inwardly. The myriad worlds are vast and boundless. How could it be so easy to find a tiny continent in a lower realm? Moreover, to find a person is as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Even if you find one, the gap is so great now. There won't be any result. Kong Lanyue felt regret in his heart but didn't express it. He walked in front of the young girl and the woman. Seeing Kong Lanyue approach, the patriarch of the Kong Profound Heaven Holy Clan, Kong Qinglu, said, "Elder Lanyue, did you come to find me for something?" Kong Qinglu remembered that Kong Lanyue had just come to find her. Now that he came to see her again, there should be something. I do have an important matter to discuss with the patriarch." Kong Lanyue nodded and looked at Qian Linglong. "I didn't expect Miss Linglong to be here. My sudden arrival didn't disturb your discussion, did it?" Kong Qinglu and Qian Linglong shook their heads. Hearing Kong Lanyue's words, the young girl slowly stood up and said, "Patriarch, since you and Elder Lanyue have something to discuss, Linglong will withdraw first." "Okay." Kong Qinglu nodded. Immediately, the young girl turned and walked out of the hall, showing a very peaceful appearance. Seeing the young girl leave, Kong Qinglu revealed a curious expression. "Elder Lanyue, I wonder why you were looking for me?" "Patriarch, the matter is like this. Young Master Emo Qingyun has already arrived." Hearing Kong Qinglu's question, Kong Lanyue didn't beat around the bush and directly reported the matter of Emo Qingyun. "In addition, Mr. Emo asked me to come and ask you to give him the opportunity to participate in the Holy War qualification battle." "Emo Qingyun." Hearing Kong Lanyue's words, The young girl who was about to leave the hall stopped as if struck by lightning. The young girl was startled. Is it him? Did he come? The young girl's footsteps paused. She revealed a bitter smile and shook her head. It shouldn't be him. Although his cultivation talent is astonishing, only a few years have passed. How could he have broken through to the deity realm? In addition, for Elder Lanyue to attach such importance to him, he must have an honorable status. I must be overthinking things. Dispelling the distracting thoughts in her mind, the young girl walked straight out of the hall. Kong Qinglu and Kong Lanyue didn't know what the young girl was thinking, nor did they notice her abnormality. They continued to discuss Mo Qingyun. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.